Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to JAHAN-E, JAHAN-E, your own world. And today, I, Dr. Halima Sadia, your host and host, is with you with a very important and great and grand event. Today, we are going to have readathon of NEP 2020. So there are 25 teachers who have volunteered themselves to read this important document, NEP 2020. As we all know that NEP is the most important document in the field of education. It was approved by Cabinet on 29th July 2020, and it outlines the education system of India. It provides us the guidelines how India is going to transform its education system at pre-primary level, at elementary level, and at higher secondary level. This document speaks that India is going to transform its education system by 2040. So here we go with the reading of this important document, NEP 2020. I'm going to start the reading, and my friends are going to accompany me in this noble task of reading the whole document of NEP 2020. Today is a special day. Today is the birth anniversary of our first education minister, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. And I wish you all a happy National Education Day. We are going to pay the tribute to this great legendary by reading this important document, NEP 2020. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad has always seen India as educational hub and on the top in the education system. The IITs, the IIMs, what we see today is a dream projects of our first education minister, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. So here we go and start with the reading of this important document, National Education Policy 2020. So this is the policy. And all 63 pages we are going to read today. 25 teachers, I'm grateful to them. They have volunteered to accompany me in this noble task. So National Education Policy 2020 Introduction. Education is fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing equitable and just society, and promoting national development. Providing universal access to quality education is the key to India's continued ascent. And leadership on the global stage in terms of economic growth, social justice, and equality, scientific advancement, national integration, and cultural preservation. Universal high quality education is the best way forward for developing and maximizing our country's rich talents and resources for the good of the individual, the society, the country, and the world. India will have the highest population of young people in the world over the next decade, and our ability to provide high quality educational opportunities to them will determine the future of our country. The Global Education Development Agenda reflected in the Goal 4, SDG 4 of the 2030, Agenda for Sustainable Development adopted by India in 2015, seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. Such a lofty goal will require the entire education system to be reconfigured to support and foster learning so that all of the critical targets and goals, SDGs, of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development can be achieved. The world is undergoing rapid changes in the knowledge landscape with various dramatic scientific and technological advances, such as the rise of big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Many unskilled jobs worldwide may be taken over by machines, while the need for a skilled workforce, particularly involving mathematics, computer science, and data science, in conjunction with multidisciplinary abilities across the sciences, social sciences, and humanities, will be increasingly in greater demand. With climate change, increasing pollution, and depleting natural resources, there will be a sizable shift in how we meet the world's energy, water, food, and sanitation needs. Again, resulting in the need for new skilled labor, particularly in biology, chemistry, physics, agriculture, climate science, and social science. The growing emergence of epidemics and pandemics will also call for collaborative research in infectious disease management and development of vaccines, and the resultant social issues heightens the need for multidisciplinary learning. There will be a growing demand for humanities and art as India moves towards becoming a developed country as well as among the 3 largest economies in the world. Indeed, with the quickly changing employment landscape and global ecosystem, it is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn. Education thus must move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems, how to be creative and multidisciplinary, and how to innovate, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. Pedagogy must evolve to make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and of course, enjoyable. The curriculum must include basic arts, craft, humanities, games, sports, and fitness, languages, literature, culture, and values, in addition to science and mathematics, to develop all aspects and capabilities of learners and make education well-rounded, useful, and fulfilling to the learner. Education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment. The gap between the current state of learning outcomes and what is required must be bridged through undertaking major reforms that bring the highest quality, equity, and integrity into the system, from early childhood care and education through higher education. The aim must be for India to have an education system by 2040 that is second to none, with equitable access to the highest quality education for all learners, regardless of social or economic background. The National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century that aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives of our country. This policy proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of the education structure, including its regulation and governance, to create a new system that is aligned with the aspirational goals of 21st century education, including SDG 4, while building upon India's traditions and value system. The National Education Policy lays particular emphasis on the development of the creative potential of each individual. Now I request my friend, Mr. Ejazul Haq, to kindly take over. Ejazul Haq is just joining us. There was some network issue. So he is going to continue reading this page. It is based on the principle that education must develop not only cognitive capacities, both the foundational capacities of literacy and numeracy and higher order cognitive capacities such as critical thinking and problem solving, but also social, ethical, and emotional capacities and dispositions. The rich heritage of ancient and eternal India The rich heritage of ancient and eternal Indian knowledge and thought has been a guiding light for this policy. The pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and truth was always considered in Indian thought and philosophy as the highest human goal. The aim of education in ancient India was not just the acquisition of knowledge, as preparation for life in the world or life beyond schooling, but for the complete realization and liberation of the self. Mr. Ejaz? World-class institutions of ancient India, such as Takshila, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Vallabhai, set the highest standard of multidisciplinary teaching and research and hosted scholars and students from across backgrounds and countries. The Indian education system produced great scholars such as Charaka, Sushruta, Aryabhatta, Varamihira, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Chanakya, Chakrapani, Datta, Madhava, Panini, Patanjali, Nagarjun, Gautam, Pingala, Sukhardev, Maitri, Gargi, and Thiruvalluvar, among numerous others who made seminal contributions to world knowledge in diverse fields such as mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, medical science and surgery, civil engineering, architecture, shipbuilding and navigation, yoga, fine arts, chess, and more. Indian culture and philosophy have had a strong influence of the world. These rich legacies to the world heritage must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity, but also researched, enhanced, and put to new uses through our education system. Now, Mr. Ejaz, I can see you. You can start reading from the new education policy must provide.
Yes. Okay, thank you. The new education policy must, provide to all students, irrespective of their place of residence, a quality education system with particular focus on historically marginalized, disadvantaged, and underrepresented groups. Education is a great leveler and is the best tool for achieving economic and social mobility, inclusion, and equality. Initiatives must be in place to ensure that all students from such groups, despite inherent obstacles, are provided various targeted opportunities to enter and excel in the education system. These elements must be incorporated taking into account the local and global needs of the country and with a respect for and deference to its rich diversity and culture. Instilling knowledge of India and its varied social, cultural, and technological needs, its immutable artistic, language, and knowledge traditions, and its strong ethics in India's young people is considered critical for purposes of national pride, self-confidence, self-knowledge, cooperation, and integration. Previous policies. The implementation of previous policies on education has focused largely on issues of access and equity. The unfinished agenda of the National Policy on Education 1986, modified in 1992, NP 1986/1992 is appropriately dealt within this policy. A major development since the last policy of 1986-1992 has been the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, which laid down legal underpinnings for achieving universal elementary education. Principles of this policy. The purpose of the education system is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper, and creative imagination with sound ethical moorings and values. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our country. A good education institution is one in which every student feels welcomed and cared for, where a safe and stimulating learning environment exists, where a wide range of learning experiences are offered, and where good physical infrastructure and appropriate resources conducive to learning are available to all students. Attaining these qualities must be the goal of every educational institution. However, at the same time, there must also be seamless integration and coordination across institutions and across all stages of education. The fundamental principles that will guide both the education system at large as well as the individual institution within it are: first is recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by
Thank
sensitizing
you. Thank
teachers
you
as well
very
as
much.
parents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ejaz. Would you
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
continue? Would you like to continue?
Yes, why not?
Okay, then
Yes,
please.
yes. The fundamental principles that will guide both the education system at large as well as the individual institution within it are: first is recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. According to the highest policy priority to achieving foundational literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3. Flexibility so that learners have the ability to choose their learning trajectories and programs and thereby choose their own path in life according to their talents and interests. No hard separations between arts and sciences, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams, etc., in order to eliminate harmful hierarchies among and silos between different areas of learning. Multidisciplinary and a holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports for a multidisciplinary world in order to ensure the unity and integrity of all knowledge. Emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for exams. Creativity and critical thinking to encourage logical decision making and innovation. Ethics and human and constitutional values like empathy, respect for others, cleanliness, courtesy, democratic spirit, a spirit of service, respect for public property, scientific temper, liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality, and justice. Promoting multilingualism and the power of language in teaching and learning. Life skills such as communication, cooperation, teamwork, and resilience. Focus on regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment that encourages today's coaching culture. Extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, removing language barriers, increasing access for Divyangs students, and educational planning and management. Respect for diversity and respect for the local context in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy. Always keeping in mind that education is a concurrent subject. Full equity and inclusion as the cornerstone of all education decisions to ensure that all students are able to thrive in the education system. Synergy in curriculum across all levels of education, from early childhood care and education to school education to higher education. Teachers and faculty as the heart of the learning process, their recruitment, continuous professional development, positive working environments, and service conditions. A light by tight regulative framework to ensure integrity, transparency, and resource efficiency of the educational system through audit and public disclosure, while encouraging innovation and out-of-the-box ideas through autonomy, good governance, and empowerment. Outstanding research as a co-requisite for outstanding education and development. Continuous review of progress based on sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. Thank you.
Rootedness and pride in India and its rich, diverse, ancient and modern culture and knowledge systems and traditions.
1 minute, ma'am, please wait. Mr. Ejaz, thank you very much. Actually, why I was very keen to include Mr. Ejaz in the reading, because he is the only male teacher who is representing. So I never wanted that the whole event should be only a female event. So that's why I was very keen that Mr. Ejaz must be a part of this grand event. So thank you very much, Mr. Ejaz, for being with us. Now, ma'am, you can start.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Education is a public service. Access to quality education must be considered a basic right of every child. Substantial investment in a strong, vibrant public education system, as well as the encouragement and facilitation of true philanthropic, private, and community participation. The vision of this policy. The National Education Policy envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably to an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. The policy envisages that the curriculum and pedagogy of our institutions must develop among students a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values bonding with one's country and a conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibilities in a changing world. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Part 1, School Education. The policy envisages that the extant, 10+2 structure in school education will be modified with a new pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5+3+3+4, covering ages 3 to 18, as shown in the representative figure and elaborated in detail later under Chapter 4. Currently, children in the age group of 3 to 6 are not covered in the 10+2 structure as class 1 begins at age 6. In the new 5+3+3+4 structure, a strong base of early childhood care and education, ECCE, from age 3 is also included, which is aimed at promoting better overall learning, development, and well-being. Early childhood care and education, the foundation of learning. Over 85% of a child's cumulative brain development occurs prior to the age of 6, indicating the critical importance of appropriate care and stimulation of the brain in the early years in order to ensure healthy brain development and growth. Presently, quality ECCE is not available to crores of young children, particularly children from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Strong investment in ECCE has the potential to give all young children such access, enabling them to participate and flourish in the educational system throughout their lives. Universal provisioning of quality early childhood development, care, and education must thus be achieved as soon as possible and no later than 2030 to ensure that all students entering grade 1 are school ready. ECCE ideally consists of flexible, multifaceted, multi-level, play-based, activity-based, and inquiry-based learning, comprising of alphabets, languages, numbers, counting, colors, shapes, indoor and outdoor play, puzzles, and logical thinking, problem solving, drawing, painting, and other visual art, craft, drama, and puppetry, music, and movement. It also includes a focus on developing social capacities, sensitivity, good behavior, courtesy, ethics, personal and public cleanliness, teamwork, and cooperation. The overall aim of ECCE will be to attain optimal outcomes in the domains of physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-emotional ethical development, cultural artistic development, and the development of communication and early language, literacy, and numeracy. A national curricular and pedagogical framework for early childhood care and education, NCP FECCE, for children up to the age of 8 will be developed by NCERT in 2 parts, namely a sub-framework for 0 to 3 years olds and a sub-framework for 3 to 8 year olds, aligned with the above guidelines. The latest research on ECCE and national and international best practices. In particular, the numerous rich local traditions of India developed over millennia in ECCE involving art, stories, poetry, games, songs, and more will also be suitably incorporated. The framework will serve as a guide both for parents and for early childhood care and educational institutions. The overarching goal will be to ensure universal access to high quality ECCE across the country in a phased manner. Special attention and priority will be given to districts and locations that are particularly socio-economically disadvantaged. ECCE shall be delivered through a significantly expanded and strengthened system of early childhood education institutions consisting of a standalone Anganwadis. B, Anganwadis co-located with primary schools. C, pre-primary schools sections covering at least age 5 to 6 years co-located with existing primary schools. And D, standalone preschools, all of which would recruit workers, teachers, specially trained in the curriculum and pedagogy of ECCE. For universal access to ECCE, Anganwadi centers will be strengthened with high quality infrastructure, play equipment, and well-trained Anganwadi workers, teachers. Every Anganwadi will have a well-ventilated, well-designed, child-friendly, and well-constructed building with an enriched learning environment. Children in Anganwadi centers shall take activity-filled tours and meet the teachers and students of their local primary schools. In order to make the transition from Anganwadi centers to primary schools a smooth one. Anganwadi shall be fully integrated into school complexes, clusters, and Anganwadi children, parents, and teachers will be invited to attend and participate in school complex programs, and vice versa. It is envisaged that prior to the age of 5, every child will move to a preparatory class or Balavatika, that is before class 1, which has an ECCE qualified teacher. The learning in the preparatory class shall be based primarily on play-based learning with a focus on developing cognitive, affective, and psychomotor abilities and early literacy and numeracy. The midday meal program shall also be extended to the preparatory classes in primary schools. Health checkups and growth monitoring that are available in the Anganwadi system shall also be made available to preparatory class students of Anganwadi as well as of primary schools. Over to Asma.
To prepare an initial cadre of high quality ECCE teachers in Anganwadis, current Anganwadi workers or teachers will be trained through a systematic effort in accordance with the curricular or pedagogical framework developed by NCERT. Anganwadi workers or teachers with qualifications of 10 plus 2 and above shall be given a 6-month certificate program in ECCE, and those with lower educational qualifications shall be given a 1-year diploma program covering early literacy, numeracy, and other relevant aspects of ECCE. These programs may be run through digital or distance mode using DTH channels as well as smartphones, allowing teachers to acquire ECCE qualifications with minimal disruption to their current work. The ECCE training of Anganwadi workers or teachers will be mentored by the cluster resource centers of school education department, which shall hold at least one monthly contact class for continuous assessment. In the longer term, state government shall prepare cadres of professionally qualified educators for early childhood care and education through state-specific professional training, mentoring mechanisms, and career mapping. Necessary facilities will also be created for the initial professional preparation of these educators and their continuous professional development (CPD). ECCE will also be introduced in ashram shalas in tribal dominated areas and in all formats of alternative schooling in a phased manner. The process for integration and implementation of ECCE in ashram shalas and alternative schooling will be similar to that detailed above. The responsibility for ECCE HRD to ensure its continuity from pre-primary school through primary school and to ensure due attention to the foundational aspects of education. The planning and implementation of early childhood care and education curriculum will be carried out jointly by the ministries of HRD, Women and Child Development, WCD, Health and Family Welfare, that is HFW, and Tribal Affairs. A special joint task force will be constituted for continuous guidance of the smooth integration of early childhood care and education into school education. Foundational literacy and numeracy, an urgent and necessary prerequisite to learning. The ability to read and write and perform basic operations with numbers is a necessary foundation and an indispensable prerequisite for all future schooling and lifelong learning. However, various governmental as well as non-governmental surveys indicate that we are currently in a learning crisis. A large proportion of students currently in elementary school, estimated to be over 5 crore in number, have not attained foundational literacy and numeracy. the ability to read and comprehend basic text, and the ability to carry out basic addition and subtraction with Indian numerals. Attaining foundational literacy and numeracy for all children will thus be an urgent national mission, with intermediate measures to be taken on many fronts and with clear goals that will be attained in the short term, including that every student will attain foundational literacy and numeracy by grade 3. The highest priority of education system will be to achieve universal foundation literacy and numeracy in primary school by 2025. The rest of the policy will become relevant for our students only if the only if this most basic learning requirement, that is reading, writing, arithmetic at the foundational level, is first achieved. To this end, a national mission on foundational literacy and numeracy will be set up by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, on priority. Accordingly, all state or UT governments will immediately prepare an implementation plan for attaining universal foundational literacy and numeracy in all primary schools, identifying stage-wise targets and goals to be achieved by 2025, and closely tracking and monitoring progress of the same. First, teacher vacancies will be filled at the earliest in a time-bound manner, especially in disadvantaged areas and areas with large pupil to teacher ratios or high rates of illiteracy. Special attention will be given to employing local teachers or those with familiarity with local languages. A pupil teacher ratio PTR of under 30:1 will be ensured at the levels of each school. Areas having large number of socio-economically disadvantaged students will aim for a PTR of under 25:1. Teachers will be trained, encouraged, and support with continuous professional development to impart foundational literacy and numeracy.
On the curricular side, there will be an increased focus on foundational literacy and numeracy, and generally on reading, writing, speaking, counting, arithmetic, and mathematical thinking throughout the preparatory and middle school curriculum, with a robust system of continuous formative or adaptive assessment to track and thereby individualize and ensure each child's learning. Specific or daily and regular event over the year-round activity involving these subjects will be dedicated to encourage and enthuse students. Teacher education and early grade curriculum will be redesigned to have a new emphasis on foundational literacy and numeracy. Currently, with the lack of universal access to ECCE, a large proportion of children already fall behind within the first few weeks of grade 1. Thus, to ensure that all students are school ready, an interim 3-month play-based school preparation module for all grade 1 students consisting of activities and workbooks around the learning of alphabets, sounds, words, colors, shapes, and numbers, and involving collaborations with peers and parents will be developed by NCERT and SCERTs. A national repository of high-quality resources on foundational literacy and numeracy will be made available on the digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, Diksha, technological interventions to serve as aids to teachers and to help bridge any language barriers that may exist between teachers and students will be piloted and implemented. Due to the scale of the current learning crisis, all viable methods will be explored to support teachers in the mission of attaining universal foundational literacy and numeracy. Studies around the world show one-on-one peer tutoring to be extremely effective for learning, not just for the learners, but also for the tutors. Thus, peer tutoring can be taken up as a voluntary and joyful activity for fellow students under the supervision of trained teachers and by taking due care of safety aspects. Additionally, it will also be made far easier for trained volunteers for both the local community and beyond to participate in this large-scale mission. Every literate member of the community could commit to teaching one student or person how to read. It would change the country's landscape very quickly. States may consider establishing innovative models to foster such peer tutoring and volunteer activities, as well as launch other programs to support learners in this nationwide mission to promote foundational literacy and numeracy. Enjoyable and inspirational books for students at all levels will be developed, including through high quality translation, technology assisted as needed in all local and Indian languages, and will be made available extensively in both school and local public libraries. Public and school libraries will be significantly expanded to build a culture of reading across the country. Digital libraries will also be established. School libraries will be set up, particularly in villages, to serve the community during non-school hours. And book club may meet in public or school libraries to further facilitate and promote widespread reading. A national book promotion policy will be formulated, and extensive initiatives will be undertaken to ensure the availability, accessibility, quality, and readership of books across geographies, languages, levels, and genres. Children are unable to learn optimally when they are undernourished or unwell. Hence, the nutrition and health, including mental health of children, will be addressed through healthy meals and introduction of well-trained social workers, counselors, and community involvement into the schooling system. Furthermore, research shows that the morning hours after a nutritious breakfast can be particularly productive for the study of cognitively more demanding subjects, and hence these hours may be leveraged by providing a simple but energizing breakfast in addition to midday meals. In locations where hot meals are not possible, a simple but nutritious meal, example groundnuts or chana mixed with jaggery or local fruits, may be provided. All school children shall undergo regular health checkups, especially for 100% immunization in schools, and health cards will be issued to monitor the same, curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels. One of the primary goals of the schooling system must be to ensure that children are enrolled in and are attending school. Through initiatives such as the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, now the Samagra Shiksha, and the Right to Education Act, India has made remarkable strides in recent years in attaining the near universal enrollment in elementary education. However, the data for later grades indicates more serious issues in retaining children in the schooling system. The GER for 6 to 8 was 90.9%, while for grades 9 to 10 and 11 to 12, it was only 79.3% and 56.5% respectively, indicating that a significant proportion of enrolled students drop out after grade 5 and especially after grade 8. As per the 75th round household survey by NSSO in 2017 to 18, the number of out-of-school children in the age group of 6 to 17 years is 3.22 crores. It will be a top priority to bring these children back into the educational fold as early as possible, and to prevent further students from dropping out, with a goal to achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level by 2030. A concerted national effort will be made to ensure universal access and opportunity to all children of the country to obtain quality, holistic education, including vocational education from preschool to grade 12. There are two overall initiatives that will be undertaken to bring children who have dropped out back to school and to prevent further children from dropping out. The first is to provide effective and sufficient infrastructure so that all students have access to safe and engaging school education at all levels, from pre-primary school to grade 12. Besides providing regular trained teachers at each stage, special care shall be taken to ensure that no school remains deficient on infrastructure support. The credibility of government schools shall be re-established, and this will be attained by upgrading and enlarging the schools that already exist, building additional quality schools in areas where they do not exist, and providing safe and practical conveyances or hostels, especially for children, so that all children have the opportunity to attend a quality school and learn at the appropriate level. Alternative and innovative education centers will be put in place in cooperation with civil society to ensure that children of migrant laborers and other children who are dropping out of school due to various circumstances are brought back into mainstream education. The second is to achieve universal participation in school by carefully tracking students as well as their learning levels, in order to ensure that they A, are enrolled in and attending school, and B, have suitable opportunities to catch up and re-enter school in case they have fallen behind or dropped out. For providing equitable and quality education from the foundational stage through grade 12 to all children up to the age of 18, suitable facilitating system shall be put in place. Counselors or well-trained social workers connected to schools or school complexes and teachers which continuously work with students and their parents and will travel through and engage with communities to ensure that all school-age children are attending and learning in school. Trained and qualified school workers from civil society organizations or Department of Social Justice and Empowerment and government functionaries dealing with empowerment of persons with disabilities at the state and district level could be connected to schools through various innovative mechanisms adopted by state or union territory governments to help in carrying out this important work. Once infrastructure and participation are in place, ensuring quality will be the key in retention of students so that they, particularly girls and students from other socioeconomically disadvantaged groups, do not lose interest in attending schools. This will require a system of incentives for deploying teachers with knowledge of all local language to areas with high dropout rates, as well as overhauling the curriculum to make it more engaging and useful. To facilitate learning for all students with special emphasis on socio-economically disadvantaged groups, the scope of school education will be broadened to facilitate multiple pathways to learning involving both formal and non-formal education modes. Open and distant learning programs offered by the National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, and state open schools will be expanded and strengthened for meeting the learning needs of young people in India who are not able to attend a physical school. NIOS and state open school will offer the following programs in addition to the present program A, B, and C level that are equivalent to grade 3, 5, and 8 of the formal school system. Secondary education programs that are equivalent to grade 10 and 11, vocational education courses or programs, and adult literacy and life enrichment programs. States will be encouraged to develop these offerings in regional languages by establishing new or strengthening existing state institutes of open schooling. To make it easier for both government as well as non-governmental philanthropic organizations to build schools, to encourage local variations on account of culture, geography, and demographics, and to allow alternative models of education, the requirements for schools will be made less restrictive. The focus will be to have less emphasis on inputs and greater emphasis on output potential concerning desired learning outcomes. Regulations on inputs will be limited to certain areas as enumerated in Chapter 8. Other models for schools will also be piloted, such as public philanthropic partnerships. Efforts will be made to involve community and alumni in volunteer efforts for enhancing learning by providing at schools one-on-one tutoring, the teaching of literacy and holding of extra help sessions, teaching support and guidance for educators, career guidance and mentoring to students, etc. In this regard, the support of active and healthy senior citizens, school alumni, and local community members will be suitably garnered. Databases of literate volunteers, retired scientists, or government or semi-government employees, alumni, and educators will be created for this purpose. Curriculum and pedagogy in schools. Learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. Restructuring school curriculum and pedagogy in a new 5+3+3+4 design. The curricular and pedagogical structure of school education will be reconfigured to make it responsive and relevant to the developmental needs and interests of learners at different stages of the development, corresponding to the age ranges of 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, and 14 to 18 years, respectively. The curricular and pedagogical structure and the curricular framework for school education will therefore be guided by a 5+3+3+4 design, consisting of the foundational stage in two parts, that is 3 years of Anganwadi or preschool plus 2 years in primary school in grades 1 to 2, both together covering ages 3 to 8. Preparatory stage, grades 3 to 5 covering ages 8 to 11. Middle stage, grades 6 to 8 covering ages 11 to 14. And secondary stage, grade 9 to 12 in two phases, that is 9 and 10 in the first, and 11 and 12 in the second, covering ages 14 to 18. The foundational stage will consist of 5 years of flexible, multi-level play or activity-based learning and a curriculum and pedagogy of ECCE as mentioned in para 1.2. The preparatory stage will comprise 3 years of education building on the play, discovery, and activity-based pedagogical and curricular style of the foundational level, and will also begin to incorporate some light textbooks as well as aspects of more formal but interactive classroom learning in order to lay a solid groundwork across subjects, including reading, writing, speaking, physical education, art, languages, science, and mathematics. The middle stage will comprise 3 years of education building on a pedagogical and curricular style of the preparatory stage, but with the introduction of subject teachers for learning and discussion of the more abstract concepts in each subject, that students will be ready for all this, at this stage across the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. Experiential learning within each subject and explorations of relations among different subjects will be encouraged and emphasized despite the introduction of more specialized subjects and subject teachers. The secondary stage will comprise of 4 years of multidisciplinary study, building on a subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular style of the middle stage, but with greater depth, greater critical thinking, greater attention to life aspirations, and greater flexibility and student choice of subjects. In particular, students who continue to have the option of exiting after grade 10 and re-entering in the next phase to pursue vocational or any other courses available in grade 11 to 12, including at a more specialized school, is so desired. The above described stages are purely curricular and pedagogical, designed to optimize learning for students based on the cognitive development of children. They will inform the development of national and state curricula and teaching learning strategies at each stage. But parallel changes to physical infrastructure will not be required.
Holistic development of learners. The key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reform across all stages will be to move the education system towards real understanding and towards learning how to learn, and away from the culture of rote learning as is largely present today. The aim of education will not only be cognitive development, but also building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. Ultimately, knowledge is a deep-seated treasure, and education helps in its manifestation as a perfection which is already within an individual. All aspects of curriculum and pedagogy will be reoriented and revamped to attain these critical goals. Specific sets of skills and values across domains will be identified for integration and incorporation at each stage of learning, from preschool to higher education. Curriculum frameworks and transaction mechanisms will be developed for ensuring that these skills and values are imbibed through engaging processes of teaching and learning. NCERT will identify these required skill sets and include mechanisms for their transaction in the National Curriculum Framework for Early Childhood and School Education. Reduce curriculum content to enhance essential learning and critical thinking. Curriculum content will be reduced in each subject to its core essentials to make space for critical thinking and more holistic, inquiry-based, discovery-based, discussion-based, and analysis-based learning. The mandated content will focus on key concepts, ideas, applications, and problem solving. Teaching and learning will be conducted in a more interactive manner. Questions will be encouraged, and classroom sessions will regularly contain more fun, creative, collaborative, and exploratory activities for students for deeper and more experiential learning. Experiential learning. In all stages, experiential learning will be adopted, including hands-on learning, arts integrated and sports integrated education, storytelling-based pedagogy, among others, as standard pedagogy within each subject, and with explorations of relations among different subjects. To close the gap in achievement of learning outcomes, classroom transactions will shift towards competency-based learning and education. The assessment tools, including assessment as, of, and for learning, will also be aligned with the learning outcomes, capabilities, and dispositions as specified for each subject of a given class. Art integration is a cross-curricular pedagogical approach that utilizes various aspects and forms of art and culture as the basis for learning of concepts across subjects. As a part of the thrust on experiential learning, art integrated education will be embedded in classroom transactions, not only for creating joyful classrooms, but also for imbibing the Indian ethos through integration of Indian art and culture in the teaching and learning process at every level. This art integrated approach will strengthen the linkages between education and culture. Sports integration is another cross-curricular pedagogical approach that utilizes physical activities, including indigenous sports, in pedagogical practices to help in developing skills such as collaboration, self-initiative, self-direction, self-discipline, teamwork, responsibility, citizenship, etc. Sports integrated learning will be undertaken in classroom transactions to help students adopt fitness as a lifelong attitude and to achieve the related life skills along with the levels of fitness as envisaged in the Fit India movement. The need to integrate sports in education is well organized as it serves to foster holistic development by promoting physical and psychological well-being while also enhancing cognitive abilities. Empower students through flexibility in course choices. Students will be given increased flexibility and choice of subjects to study, particularly in secondary school, including subjects in physical education, the arts and craft, and vocational skills, so that they can design their own paths of study and life plans. Holistic development and a wide choice of subjects and courses year to year will be the new distinguishing feature of secondary school education. There will be no hard separation among curricular, extracurricular, or co-curricular among arts, humanities, and sciences, or between vocational or academic streams. Subjects such as physical education, the arts and craft, and vocational skills, in addition to science, humanities, and mathematics, will be incorporated throughout the school curriculum with a consideration for what is interesting and safe at each age. Each of the four stages of school education, in accordance with what may be possible in different regions, may consider moving towards a semester or any other system that allows the inclusion of shorter modules or courses that are taught on alternate days in order to allow an exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility. States may look into innovative methods to achieve these aims of greater flexibility and exposure to and enjoyment of a wider range of subjects, including across the arts, sciences, humanities, languages, sports, and vocational subjects. Multilingualism and the power of language. It is well understood that young children learn and grasp non-trivial concepts more quickly in their home language or mother tongue. Home language is usually the same language as the mother tongue or that which is spoken by local communities. However, at times in multilingual families, there can be a home language spoken by other family members, which may sometimes be different from mother tongue or local language. Wherever possible, the medium of instruction until at last grade 5, but preferably till grade 8 and beyond, will be the home language or mother tongue or local language or regional language. Thereafter, the home or local language shall continue to be taught as a language wherever possible. This will be followed by both public and private schools. High quality textbooks, including in science, will be made available in home languages or mother tongue. All efforts will be made early on to ensure that any gaps that exist between the language spoken by the child and the medium of teaching are bridged. In cases where home language or a mother tongue textbook material is not available, the language of transaction between teachers and students will still remain the home language or mother tongue wherever possible. Teachers will be encouraged to use a bilingual approach, including bilingual teaching learning materials with those students whose home language may be different from the medium of instruction. All languages will be taught with a high quality to all students. A language does not need to be the medium of instruction for it to be taught and learned well. As research clearly shows, the children pick up languages extremely quickly between the ages of 2 and 8, that multilingualism has great cognitive benefits to young students. Children will be exposed to different languages early on, but with a particular emphasis on the mother tongue, starting from the foundational stage onwards. All languages will be taught in an enjoyable and interactive style with plenty of interactive conversation and with early reading and subsequently writing in the mother tongue in the early years, and with skills developed for reading and writing in other languages in grade 3 and beyond. There will be a major effort from both the central and state governments to invest in large number of language teachers in all regional languages around the country, and in particular for all languages mentioned in the English schedule of the Constitution of India. States, especially states from different regions of India, may enter into bilateral agreements to hire teachers in large numbers from each other to satisfy the three-language formula in their respective states, and also to encourage the study of Indian languages across the country. Extensive use of technology will be made for teaching and learning of different languages and to popularize language learning. The three-language formula will continue to be implemented while keeping in mind the constitutional provisions, aspirations of the people, regions, and the union, and the need to promote multilingualism as well as promote national unity. However, there will be a greater flexibility in the three-language formula, and no language will be imposed on any state. The three languages learned by children will be the choices of states, regions, and of course the students themselves, so as at least two of the three languages are native to India. In particular, students who wish to change one or more of the three languages they are studying may do so in grade 6 or 7 as long as they are able to demonstrate basic proficiency in three languages, including one language of India at the literature level by the end of secondary school. All efforts will be made in preparing high-quality bilingual textbooks and teaching learning materials for science and mathematics so that students are enabled to think and speak about the two subjects both in their home language or mother tongue and in English. As so many developed countries around the world have amply demonstrated, being well educated in one's language, culture, and traditions is not a detriment but indeed a huge benefit to educational, social, and technological advancement. India's languages are among the richest, most scientific, most beautiful, and most expressive in the world, with a huge body of ancient as well as modern literature, both prose and poetry, film, and music written in these languages that help form India's national identity and wealth. For purposes of cultural enrichment as well as national integration, all young Indians should be aware of the rich and vast array of languages of their country and the treasures that they and their literatures contain. Thus, every student in the country will participate in a fun project or activity on the languages of India, sometimes in grade 6 to 8, such as under the Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat initiative. In this project or activity, students will learn about the remarkable unity of most of the major Indian languages, starting with their common phonetic and scientifically arranged alphabets and scripts, their common grammatical structures, their origins and sources of vocabularies from Sanskrit and other classical languages, as well as their rich interplayances and differences. They will also learn what geographical areas speak which languages, get a sense of the nature and structure of tribal languages, and learn to say commonly spoken phrases and sentences in every major language of India, and also learn a bit about the rich and uplifting literature of each through such suitable translations as necessary. Such an activity would give them both a sense of the unity and the beautiful cultural heritage and diversity of India, and would be a wonderful icebreaker their whole lives. As they meet people from other parts of India, this project or activity would be a joyful activity and would not involve any form of assessment. The importance, relevance, and beauty of the classical languages and literature of India also cannot be overlooked. Sanskrit, while also an important modern language mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India, possesses a classical literature that is greater in volume than that of Latin and Greek put together, containing vast treasures of mathematics, philosophy, grammar, music, politics, medicine, architecture, metallurgy, drama, poetry, storytelling, and more, known as Sanskrit knowledge system, written by people of various religions as well as non-religious people, and by people from all walks of life and a wide range of socio-economic backgrounds over thousands of years. Sanskrit will thus be offered at all levels of school and higher education as an important enriching option for students including as an option in the 3-language formula. It will be taught in ways what are interesting and experiential as well as contemporarily relevant, including through the use of Sanskrit knowledge systems and in particular through phonetics and pronunciation. Sanskrit textbooks at the foundational and middle school level may be written in simple standard Sanskrit, that is triple S, to teach Sanskrit through Sanskrit STS and make its study truly enjoyable. India also has an extremely rich literature in other classical languages, including classical Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia. In addition to these classical languages, Pali, Persian, and Prakrit and their work of literature too must be preserved for their richness and for the pleasure and enrichment of posterity. As India becomes a fully developed country, the next generation will want to partake in and be enriched by India's extensive and beautiful classical literature. In addition to Sanskrit, other languages and literatures of India, including Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia, Pali, Persian, and Prakrit, will also be widely available in schools as options for students, possibly as online modules through experiential and innovative approaches to ensure that these languages and literature stay alive and vibrant. Similar efforts will be made for all Indian languages having rich oral and written literatures, cultural traditions, and knowledge. Over to Nazia.
For the enrichment of the children and for the preservation of these rich languages and their artistic treasures, all students in all schools, public or private, will have the option of learning at least 2 years of a classical language of India and its associated literature through experiential and innovative approaches, including the integration of technology in grade 6 to 12 with the option to continue from the middle stage through the secondary stage and beyond. In addition to high quality offerings in Indian languages and English, foreign languages such as Korean, Japanese, Thai, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian will also be offered at the secondary level for students to learn about the cultures of the world and to enrich their global knowledge and mobility according to their own interests and aspirations. The teachings of all languages will be enhanced through innovative and experiential methods, including through gamification and apps, by weaving in the cultural aspects of the languages such as films, theater, storytelling, poetry, and music, and by drawing connection with various relevant subjects and with real-life experiences. Thus, the teaching of languages will also be based on experiential learning pedagogy. Indian Sign Language, ISL, will be standardized across the country, and national and state curriculum materials developed for use by students with hearing impairment. Local sign languages will be respected and taught as well, wherever possible and relevant. Curricular integration for essential subjects, skills, and capacities. While students must have a large amount of flexibility in choosing their individual curricula, certain subjects, skills, and capacities should be learned by all students to become good, successful, innovative, adaptable, and productive human beings in today's rapidly changing world. In addition to proficiency in languages, these skills include scientific temper and evidence-based thinking, creativity and innovativeness, sense of aesthetics and art, oral and written communication, health and nutrition, physical education, fitness, wellness and sports, collaboration and teamwork, problem solving and logical reasoning, occasional exposure and skills, digital literacy, coding and computational thinking, ethical and moral reasoning, knowledge and practice of human and constitutional values, gender sensitivity, fundamental duties, citizenship skills and values, knowledge of India, environmental awareness including water and resource conservation, sanitation and hygiene, and current affairs and knowledge of critical issues facing local communities, states, the country, and the world. Concerted curricular and pedagogical initiatives, including the introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living, environmental education, global citizenship education, GCED, etc., at relevant stages will be undertaken to develop these various important skills in students at all levels. It is recognized that mathematics and mathematical thinking will be very important for India's future and India's leadership role in the numerous upcoming fields and professions that will involve artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science, etc. Thus, mathematics and computational thinking will be given increased emphasis throughout the school years, starting with the foundational stage through a variety of innovative methods, including the regular use of puzzles and games that make mathematical thinking more enjoyable and engaging. Activities involving coding will be introduced in the middle stage. Every student will take a fun course during grade 6 to 8 that gives a survey and hands-on experience of a sampling of important vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery making, etc., as decided by the state and local communities and as mapped by local skilling needs. A practice-based curriculum for grades 6 to 8 will be appropriately designed by NCERT while framing the NCFSC 2020-21. All students will participate in a 10-day bagless period sometime during grade 6 to 8 where they intern with local vocational experts such as carpenters, gardeners, potters, artists, etc. Similar internship opportunities to learn vocational subjects may be made available to students throughout grade 6 to 8, including holiday periods. Vocational courses through online mode will also be made available. Bagless days will be encouraged throughout the year for various types of enrichment activities involving arts, quizzes, sports, and vocational crafts. Children will be given periodic exposure to activities outside school through visits to places or monuments of historical, cultural, and tourist importance, meeting local artists and craftsmen, and visit higher educational institutions in their village, tehsil, district, or state. Knowledge of India will include knowledge from ancient India and its contributions to modern India and its success and challenges, and a clear sense of India's future aspirations with regard to education, health, environment, etc. These elements will be incorporated in an accurate and scientific manner throughout the school curriculum wherever relevant in particular. Indian knowledge system, including the tribal knowledge and indigenous and traditional ways of learning, will be covered and included in mathematics, astronomy, philosophy, yoga, architecture, medicine, agriculture, engineering, linguistics, literature, sports, games, as well as the governance, polity conservation. Specific courses in tribal, ethno-medicinal practices, forest management, traditional organic crop cultivation, natural farming, etc. will also be made available. An engaging course on Indian knowledge system will also be available to students in secondary school as an elective. Competitions may be held in schools for learning various topics and subjects through fun and indigenous games. Video documentaries on inspirational luminaries of India, ancient and modern, in science and beyond, will be shown at appropriate points throughout the school curriculum. Students will be encouraged to visit different states as part of cultural exchange programs. Students will be taught at an young age the importance of doing what's right, and will be given a logical framework for making ethical decisions. In later years, this would then be expanded along themes of cheating, violence, plagiarism, littering, tolerance, equality, empathy, etc., with a view to enabling children to embrace moral or ethical values in conducting one's life, formulate a position or argument about an ethical issue from multiple perspectives, and use ethical practices in all work. As consequences of such basic ethical reasoning, traditional Indian values and all basic human and constitutional values such as seva, ahimsa, swachhata, satya, nishkam karma, shanti, sacrifice, tolerance, diversity, pluralism, righteous conduct, gender sensitivity, respect for elders, respect for all people and their inherent capabilities, regardless of background, respect for environment, helpfulness, courtesy, patience, forgiveness, empathy, compassion, patriotism, democratic outlook, integrity, responsibility, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity will be developed in all students. Children will have the opportunity to read and learn from the original stories of Panchatantra, Jataka, Hitopadesh, and other fun fables and inspiring tales from the Indian tradition and learn about their influences on global literature. Excerpts from the Indian Constitution will also be considered essential reading for all students. Basic training in health, including preventive health, mental health, good nutrition, personal and public hygiene, disaster response, and first aid will also be included in the curriculum, as well as scientific explanations of the detrimental and damaging effects of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. All curriculum and pedagogy from the foundational stage onwards will be redesigned to be strongly rooted in the Indian and local context and ethos in terms of culture, traditions, heritage, custom, language, philosophy, geography, ancient and contemporary knowledge, societal and scientific needs, indigenous and traditional ways of learning, etc., in order to ensure that education is maximally relatable, relevant, interesting, and effective for our students. Stories, arts, games, sports, examples, problems, etc., will be chosen as much as possible to be rooted in the Indian and local geographical context. Ideas, abstractions, and creativity will be indeed best flourish when learning is thus rooted. National Curriculum Framework for School Education, NCFSC. The formulation of a new and comprehensive national curricular framework for school education, NCFSC 2020-21, will be undertaken by the NCERT based on the principles of this National Education Policy 2020. Frontline curriculum needs, and after discussions with all the stakeholders, including state governments, ministries, relevant departments of the central government, and other expert bodies, and will be made available in all regional languages. The NCFSC document shall henceforth be revisited and updated once every 5 to 10 years, taking into account frontline curriculum. National textbooks with local content and flavor. The reduction in content and increased flexibility of school curriculum and the renewed emphasis on constructive rather than rote learning must be accompanied by parallel changes in school textbooks. All textbooks shall aim to contain the essential core material together with discussion, analysis, examples, and applications deemed important on a national level, but at the same time contain any desired nuance and supplementary material as per local context and needs. Wherever possible, schools and teachers will also have choices in the textbooks they employ from among a set of textbooks that contain the requisite national and local materials so that they may teach in a manner that is best suited to their own pedagogical styles as well as their students' and communities' needs. The aim will be to provide such quality textbooks at the lowest possible cost, namely at the cost of production or printing, in order to mitigate the burden of textbook prices on the students and on the educational system. This may be accomplished by using high-quality textbook materials developed by NCERT in conjugation with SCERT's. Additional textbook materials could be funded by public philanthropic partnerships and crowdsourcing that incentivize experts to write such high-quality textbooks at cost price. States will prepare their own curriculum and prepare textbooks incorporating state flavor and material as needed. While doing so, it must be borne in mind that NCERT curriculum would be taken as the nationally acceptable criterion. The availability of such textbooks in all regional languages will be a top priority so that all students will have access to high quality learning. All efforts will be made to ensure timely availability of textbooks in schools. Access to downloadable and printable versions of all textbooks will be provided by all states and union territories and NCERT to help conserve the environment and reduce the logistical burden. Concerted efforts through suitable changes in curriculum and pedagogy will be made by NCERT, SCERTs, schools, and educators to significantly reduce the weight of school bags and textbooks. Transforming assessment for student development. The aim of assessment in the culture of our schooling system will shift from one that is summative and primarily test rote memorization skills to the one that is more regular and formative, is more competency-based, promotes learning and development for our students, and tests higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. The primary purpose of assessment will indeed be for learning. It will help the teacher and student and the entire schooling system continuously revise teaching learning processes to optimize learning and development for all students. This will be the underlying principle for assessment at all levels of education. Over to Sharika.
The progress card of all students for school-based assessment, which is communicated by schools to parents, will be completely redesigned by states or union territories under guidance from the proposed National Assessment Center, NCERT and SCERTs. The progress card will be a holistic 360-degree multi-dimensional report that reflects in great detail the progress as well as the uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. It will include self-assessment and peer assessment and progress of a child in project-based and inquiry-based learning, quizzes, role plays, group work, portfolios, etc., along with teacher assessment. The holistic progress card will form an important link between home and school and will be accompanied by parent-teacher meetings in order to actively involve parents in their children's holistic education and development. The progress card would also provide teachers and parents with valuable information on how to support each student in and out of the classroom. AI-based software could be developed and used by students to help track their growth through their school years and school years based on learning data and interactive questionnaires for parents, students, and teachers in order to provide students with valuable information on their strengths, area of interest, and needed areas of focus, and to thereby help them make optimal career choices. The current nature of secondary school exams, including board exams and entrance exams, and the resulting coaching culture of today are doing much harm, especially at the secondary school level, replacing valuable time for true learning with excessive exam coaching and preparation. These exams also force students to learn a very narrow band of material in a single stream, rather than allowing the flexibility and choice that will be so important in the education system of the future. While the board exams for grades 10 and 12 will be continued, the existing system of board and entrance examinations shall be reformed to eliminate the need for undertaking coaching classes. To reverse these harmful effects of the current assessment system, board exams will be redesigned to encourage holistic development. Students will be able to choose many of the subjects in which they take board exams, depending on their individualized interests. Board exams will also be made easier in the sense that they will test primarily core capacities or competencies rather than months of coaching and memorization. Any student any student who has been going to and making a basic effort in a school class will be able to pass and do well in the corresponding subject board exam without much additional effort. To further eliminate the high stakes aspect of board exams, all students will be allowed to take board exams on up to 2 occasions during any given school year, one main examination and one for improvement if desired. In addition to introducing greater flexibility, students' choice and best of two attempts assessments that primarily test core competencies but must be the immediate key reforms of all board exams. Boards may over time also develop further viable models of board exams that reduce pressure and the coaching culture. Some possibilities include a system of annual or semester or modular board exams could be developed that each test far less material and are taken immediately after the corresponding course is taken in school, so that the pressure from exams is being distributed less intense and less high stakes across the secondary stage. All subjects and corresponding assessments beginning with mathematics could be offered at two levels, with students doing some of their subjects at the standard level and some at a higher level, and board exams in center subjects could be redesigned to have two parts, one part of an objective type with multiple choice questions and the other of a descriptive type. With regard to all of the above, guidelines will be prepared by NCERT in consultation with major stakeholders such as SCERTs, boards of assessment, BOAs, the proposed new National Assessment Center, etc., and teachers prepared for a transformation in the assessment system by the 2022-23 academic session to align with the NCFSE 2020-21 to track progress throughout the school years and not just at the end of the grades 10 and 12 for the benefit of students, parents, teachers, principals, and the entire schooling system in planning improvements to schools and teaching learning processes. All students will take school examinations in grade 3, 5, and 8, which will be conducted by the appropriate authority. These examinations would test achievement of basic learning outcomes through assessment of core concepts and knowledge from the national and local curricula, along with the relevant higher order skills and application of knowledge in real life situations, rather than rote memorization. The grade 3 examination in particular would test basic literacy, numeracy, and other foundational skills. The results of school examinations will be used only for developmental purposes of the school education system, including for public disclosure by schools of their overall anonymized school student outcomes, and for continuous monitoring and improvement of the schooling system. It is proposed to set up a National Assessment Center, PARAC, performance assessment, review, and analysis of knowledge for holistic development as a standard setting body under MHRD that fulfills the basic objectives of setting norms, standards, and guidelines for student assessment and evaluation for all recognized school boards of India, guiding the State Achievement Survey SAS and undertaking the National Achievement Survey NAS, monitoring achievement of learning outcomes in the country and encouraging the helping school boards to shift their assessment patterns towards meeting the skill requirement of the 21st century in the consonance with the state objectives of this policy. This center will also advise school boards regarding new assessment patterns and latest researches, promote collaborations between school boards. It will also become an instrument for the sharing of best practices among school boards and for ensuring equivalent of academic standards among learners across all school boards. The principles of university entrance exams will be similar. The National Testing Agency (NTA) will work to offer a high-quality common aptitude test as well as specialized common subject exams in the sciences, humanities, languages, arts, and occasional subjects at least twice a year. These exams shall test conceptual understanding and the ability to apply knowledge and shall aim to eliminate the need for taking coaching for these exams. Students will be able to choose the subject for taking the test, and each university will be able to see each student's individual subject portfolio and admit students into their programs based on individual interests and talents. The NTA will serve as a premier, expert, autonomous testing organization to conduct entrance examinations for undergraduate and graduate admissions and fellowships in higher education institutions. The high quality, range, and flexibility of the NTA testing services will enable most universities to use these common entrance exams rather than having hundreds of universities each devising their own entrance exams, thereby drastically reducing the burden on students, universities, and colleges and the entire education system. It will be left up to individual universities and colleges to use NTA assessments for their admissions. Support for gifted students, students with special talents. There are innate talents in every student, which must be discovered, nurtured, fostered, and developed. These talents may express themselves in the form of varying interests, dispositions, and capacities. Those students that show particularly strong interests and capacities in a given realm must be encouraged to pursue that realm beyond the general school curriculum. Teacher education will include methods for the recognition and fostering of such student talents and interests. The NCERT and NCTE will develop guidelines for the education of gifted children. B.Ed programs may also allow a specialization in the education of gifted children. Teachers will aim to encourage students with singular interest and/or talents in the classroom by giving them supplementary enrichment material and guidance and encouragement. Topic-centered and project-based clubs and circles will be encouraged and supported at the levels of schools, school complexes, districts, and beyond. Examples include science circles, math circles, music and dance performance circles, chess circles, poetry circles, language circles, drama circles, debate circles, sports circles, eco clubs, health and well-being clubs, or yoga clubs, and so on. Along these lines, high-quality national residential summer programs for secondary school students in various subjects will also be encouraged with a rigorous, merit-based but equitable admission process to attract the very best students and teachers from across the country, including from socio-economically disadvantaged groups. Olympiads and competitions in various subjects will be conducted across the country with clear coordination and progression from school to local to state to national levels. to ensure that all students may participate at all levels for which they qualify. Efforts will be made to make these available in rural areas and in regional languages to ensure widespread participation. Public and private universities, including premier institutions like the IITs and NITs, would be encouraged to use merit-based results from national and international Olympiads and results from other relevant national programs as part of the criteria for admission into their undergraduate programs. Once internet connected smartphones or tablets are available in all homes and or schools, online apps with quizzes, competitions, assessments, enrichment materials, and online communities for shared interests will be developed and will work to enhance all the aforementioned initiatives as group activities for students with appropriate supervision of parents and teachers. Schools will develop smart classrooms in a phased manner for using digital pedagogy and thereby enriching the teaching learning process with online resources and collaborations. Teachers. Teachers truly shape the future of our children and therefore the future of our nation. It is because of this noblest role that the teacher in India was the most respected member of society. Only the very best and most learned became teachers. Society gave teachers or gurus what they needed to pass on their knowledge, skills, and ethics optimally to students. The quality of teacher education, recruitment, deployment, service conditions, and empowerment of teacher is not where it should be, and consequently, the quality of and motivation of teacher does not reach the desired standard. The high respect for teachers and the high status of the teaching profession must be restored so as to inspire the best to enter the teaching profession. The motivation and empowerment of teacher is required to ensure the best possible future for our children and our nation. Recruitment and deployment. To ensure that outstanding students enter the teaching profession, especially from rural areas, a large number of merit-based scholarships shall be instituted across the country for studying quality 4-year integrated B.Ed programs in rural areas. Special merit-based scholarships will be established that also include preferential employment in their local areas upon successful completion of their B.Ed programs. Such scholarships will provide local job opportunities to local students, especially female students, so that these students serve as local area role models and as highly qualified teachers who speak the local language. Incentives will be provided for teachers to take up teaching jobs in rural areas, especially in areas that are currently facing acute shortage of quality teachers. A key incentive for teaching in rural school will be the provision of local housing near or on the school premises and increases housing allowances. The harmful practice of excessive teacher transfer will be halted so that students have continuity in their role models and educational environments. Transfers will occur in very special circumstances as suitably laid down in the structured manner by state or union territory governments. Furthermore, transfers will be conducted through an online computerized system that ensures transparency. Teacher eligibility tests, TETs, will be strengthened to inculcate better test materials, both in terms of content and pedagogy. The TETs will also be extended to cover teachers across all stages, foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary of school education. For subject teachers, suitable TET and NTA test scores in the corresponding subject will also be taken into account for recruitment. To gauge passion and motivation for teaching, a classroom demonstration or interview will become an integral part of teacher hiring at schools and school complexes. These interviews would also be used to assess comfort and proficiency in teaching in the local language, so that every school or school complex has at least some teachers who can converse with students in the local language, and the other prevalent home languages of students. Teachers in the private schools must have qualified similarly through TET, a demonstration or interview, and knowledge of local languages to ensure an adequate number of teachers across subjects, particularly in subjects such as art, physical education, vocational education, and languages. Teachers, teachers could be recruited to a school or school complex, and the sharing of teachers across schools could be considered in accordance with the grouping of schools adopted by state or UT governments. Over to my friend.
Schools or school complexes will be encouraged to hire local eminent persons or experts as master instructors in various subjects, such as in traditional local arts, vocational arts, entrepreneurship, agriculture, or any other subject where local expertise exists, to benefit students and help preserve and promote local knowledge and professions. A technology-based comprehensive teacher requirement planning forecasting exercise will be conducted by each state to assess expected subject-wise teacher vacancies over the next 2 decades. The above described initiatives in recruitment and deployment will be scaled as needed over time to fill all vacancies with qualified teachers, including local teachers with suitable incentives for career management and progression as described below. Teacher education programs and offerings will also align with the vacancies thus projected. Service environment and culture. The primary goal of overhauling the service environment and culture of schools will be to maximize the ability of teachers to do their jobs effectively and to ensure that they are part of vibrant, caring, and inclusive communities of teachers, students, parents, principals, and other support staff, all of whom share a common goal to ensure that our children are learning. The first requirement in this direction will be to ensure decent and pleasant service conditions at schools. Adequate and safe infrastructure, including working toilets, clean drinking water, clean and attractive spaces, electricity, computing devices, internet, libraries and sports, and recreational resources will be provided to all schools to ensure that teachers and students, including children of all genders and children with disabilities, receive a safe, inclusive, and effective learning environment and are comfortable and inspired to teach and learn in their schools. In-service training will have inputs on safety, health and environment at workplaces, in schools, to ensure that all teachers are sensitized to these requirements. State or UT governments may adopt innovative formats such as school complex rationalization of schools without in any way reducing accessibility for effective school governance, resource sharing, and community building. The creation of school complexes could go a long way towards building vibrant teacher communities. The hiring of teachers to school complexes could automatically create relationship among schools across the school complex. It would also help ensure excellent subject-wise distribution of teachers, creating a more vibrant teacher knowledge base. Teachers at very small schools will not remain isolated and any longer and may become part of and work with large school complex communities, sharing best practices with each other and working collaboratively to ensure that all children are learning. School complexes could also share counselors, trained social workers, technical and maintenance staff, etc., to further support teachers and help create an effective learning environment. In collaboration with parents and other key stakeholders, teachers will also be more involved in the governance of schools or school complexes, including as members of school management committees or school complex management committees. To prevent the large amount of time spent currently by teachers on non-teaching activities, teachers will not be engaged any longer in work that is not directly related to teaching. In particular, teachers will not be involved in strenuous administrative tasks and more than a rationalized minimum time for midday meal related work, so that they may fully concentrate on their teaching learning duties. To help ensure that schools have positive learning environments, the role expectations of principals and teachers will explicitly include developing a caring and inclusive culture at their schools for effective learning and the benefit of all stakeholders. Teachers will be given more autonomy in choosing aspects of pedagogy so that they may teach in the manner they find most effective for students in the classroom. Teachers will also focus on socio-emotional learning a critical aspect of any student's holistic development. Teachers will be recognized for novel approaches to teaching that improve learning outcome in their classrooms. Continuous professional development, CPD. Teachers will be given continuous opportunities for self-improvement and to learn the latest innovations and advances in their professions. This will be offered in multiple modes, including in the form of local, regional, state, national, and international workshops, as well as online teacher development modules. Platforms, especially online platforms, will be developed so that the teachers may share ideas and best practices. Each teacher will be expected to participate in at least 50 hours of CPD opportunities every year for their own professional development, driven by their own interests. CPD opportunities will, in particular, systematically cover the latest pedagogies regarding foundational literacy and numeracy, formative and adaptive assessment of learning outcomes, competency-based learning, and related pedagogies such as experiential learning, arts integrated, sports integrated, and storytelling-based approaches, etc. School principals and school complex leaders will have similar modular leadership or management workshops and online development opportunities and platforms to continuously improve their own leadership and management skills, and so that they too may share best practices with each other. Such leaders will also be expected to participate in 50 hours of more of CPD modules per year, covering leadership and management, as well as content and pedagogy with a focus on preparing and implementing pedagogical plans based on competency-based education. Career Management and Progression, CMP. Teachers doing outstanding work must be recognized and promoted and given salary raises to incentivize all teachers to do their best work. Therefore, a robust merit-based structure of tenure, promotion, and salary structure will be developed, with multiple levels within each teacher stage that incentivizes and recognizes outstanding teachers. A system of multiple parameters for proper assessment of performance will be developed for the same by the state or union territory governments that is based on peer reviews, attendance, commitment, hours of CPD, and other forms of service to the school and the community or based on NPST given in para 5.20. In this policy, in the context of careers, tenure refers to confirmation for the permanent employment after due assessment of performance and contribution, while tenure track refers to the period of probation preceding tenure. Further, it will be ensured that career growth in terms of tenure, promotions, salary increases, etc., is available to teachers within a single school stage, that is, foundational, preparatory, middle, or secondary, and, that there is no career progression related incentive to move from being teachers in early stages to later stages or vice versa, though such career moves across stages will be allowed, provided the teacher has the desire and qualifications for such a move. This is to support the fact that all stages of school education will require the highest quality teachers and no stage will be considered more important than any other. Vertical mobility of teachers based on the merit will be paramount. Outstanding teachers with demonstrated leadership and management skills would be trained over time to take on academic leadership positions in schools, school complexes, BRCs, CRCs, BITEs, DIETs, as well as relevant government departments. Professional standard for teachers. A common guiding set of National Professional Standard for Teachers, NPST, will be developed by 2022 by the National Council for Teacher Education in its restructured new form as a professional standard setting body, PSSB, under the General Education Council, GEC, in consultation with NCERT, SEERTs, teachers from across level and regions, expert organizations in teacher preparation and development, expert bodies in vocational education and higher education institutions. The standard would cover expectations of the role of the teacher at different levels of expertise or stage, and the competencies required for the stage. It will also comprise standards for performance appraisal for each stage that would be carried out on a periodic basis. The NPST will also inform the design of pre-service teacher education programs. This could be then adopted by states and determine all aspects of teacher career management, including tenure, professional development efforts, salary increases, promotions, and other recognizations. Promotions and salary increases will not occur based on the length of tenure or seniority, but only on the base of such appraisal. The professional standards will be reviewed and revised in 2030, and thereafter every 10 years on the basis of rigorous empirical analysis of the efficacy of the system. Special educators. There is an urgent need for additional special educators for certain areas of school education. Some examples of such specialist requirements include subject teaching for children with disabilities or Divyang children at middle and secondary school level, including teaching for specific learning disabilities. Such teachers would require not only subject teaching knowledge and understanding of subject-related aims of education, but also the relevant skills for understanding of special requirements of children. Therefore, such areas could be developed as secondary specializations for subject teachers or generalist teachers during or after pre-service teacher preparation. They will be offered as certificate courses in the pre-service as well as in-service mode, either full-time or as part-time or blended courses, again, necessarily at multidisciplinary colleges or universities. Greater synergy will be enabled between the course curriculum of NCTE and RCI to ensure adequate availability of qualified special educators who can handle subject teaching as well. Approach to teacher education. Recognizing that the teachers will require training in high quality content as well as pedagogy, teacher education will gradually be moved by 2030 in multidisciplinary colleges and universities. As colleges and universities all move towards becoming multidisciplinary, they will also aim to house standing education departments that offer B.Ed, M.Ed, and PhD degrees in education. By 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree that teaches a range of knowledge, content, and pedagogy and includes strong practicum training in the form of student teaching at local schools. The 2-year B.Ed program will also be offered by the same multidisciplinary institutions offering the 4-year integrated B.Ed and will be intended only for those who have already obtained bachelor's degree in other specialized subjects. These B.Ed programs may also be suitably adapted as 1-year B.Ed programs and will be offered only to those who have completed the equivalent of 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor's degree or who have obtained a master's degree in any specialty and wish to become a subject teacher in that specialty. All such B.Ed degrees would be offered only by accredited multidisciplinary higher education institutions offering 4-year integrated B.Ed programs. Multidisciplinary higher education institutions offering the 4-year in-class integrated B.Ed program and having accreditation for ODL may also offer high-quality B.Ed programs in blended or ODL mode to students in remote or difficult to access locations, and also to in-service teachers who are aiming to enhance their qualification, with suitable robust arrangements for mentoring and for the practicum training and student teaching components of the program. All B.Ed programs will include training in time-tested as well as the most recent techniques in pedagogy, including pedagogy with respect to foundational literacy and numeracy, multi-level teaching and evaluation, teaching children with disabilities, teaching children with special interests or talents, use of educational technology, and learner-centered and collaborative learning. All B.Ed programs will include strong practicum training in the form of in-classroom teaching at local schools. All B.Ed programs will also emphasize the practice of fundamental duties, Article 51A of the Indian Constitution, along with other constitutional provisions with teacher while teaching any subject or performing any activity. It will also appropriately integrate environmental awareness and sensitivity towards its conservation and sustainable development, so that environment education becomes an integral part of school curricula.
Special shorter local teacher education programs will also be available at BITEs, DITEs, or at school complexes themselves for eminent local persons who can be hired to teach at school or school complexes as master instructors for the purpose of promoting local professions, knowledge, and skills. Example, local art, music, agriculture, business, sports, carpentry, and other vocational crafts. Shorter post-B.Ed certification courses will also be made widely available at multidisciplinary colleges and universities to teachers who may wish to move into more specialized area of teaching, such as teaching of students with disabilities or into leadership and management positions in the schooling system, or to move from one stage to another between foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary stages. It is recognized that there may be several pedagogical approaches internationally for teaching particular subjects. NCERT will study, research, document, and compile the varied international pedagogical approaches for teaching different subjects and make recommendations on what can be learned and assimilated from these approaches into pedagogies being practiced in India. By 2021, a new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education, NCFTE 2021, will be formulated by the NCTE in consultation with NCERT based on the principles of this National Education Policy 2020. The framework will be developed after discussion with all stakeholders, including state governments, relevant ministries or departments of central government, and various expert bodies, and will be made available in all regional languages. The NCFTE 2021 will also factor in the requirements of teacher education curricula for vocational education. The NCFTE will thereafter be revised once 5 to 10 years by reflecting the changes in revised NFCs and as well as emerging needs in teacher education. Finally, in order to fully restore the integrity of the teacher education system, stringent action will be taken against substandard, standalone teacher education institutions running in the country, including shutting them down if required. Equitable and inclusive education, learning for all. Education is the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equality. Inclusive and equitable education, while indeed an essential goal in its own right, is also critical to achieving an inclusive and equitable society in which every citizen has the opportunity to dream, thrive, and contribute to the nation. The education system must aim to benefit India's children so that no child loses any opportunity to learn and excel because of circumstances of birth or background. This policy reaffirms that bridging the social category gaps in access, participation, and learning outcomes in school education will continue to be one of the major goals of all education sector development programs. This chapter may be read in conjunction with Chapter 14, which discusses analogous issues of equity and inclusion in higher education. While the Indian education system and successive government policies have made steady progress towards bridging gender and social category gaps in all levels of school education, large disparities still remain, especially at the secondary level, particularly for socio-economically disadvantaged groups that have been historically underrepresented in education. Socioeconomically disadvantaged groups can be broadly categorized based on gender identities, particularly female and transgender individuals, socio-cultural identities such as scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, OBCs, and minorities, geographical identities such as students from villages, small towns, and aspirational districts, disabilities, including learning disabilities, and socio-economic conditions such as migrant communities, low-income household, children in vulnerable situations, victims of children or victims of trafficking, orphans, including child beggars in urban areas, and the urban poor. While overall enrollments in school decline steadily from grade 1 to grade 12, this decline in enrollments is significantly more pronounced for many of these SEDGs, with even greater declines for female students with each of these SEDGs, and often even steeper in higher education. A brief status overview of the SEDGs that come within socio-cultural identities is given in the following subsection. According to UDISE 2016-17 data, about 19.6% of students belong to scheduled caste at the primary level, but this fraction
falls to 7.3% at the higher secondary level. This enrollment drops off are more severe for scheduled tribe students, 10.6% to 6.8%, and different able children, 11.1% to 0.2%, with even greater declines for female students within each of these categories. The decline in enrollment in higher education is even steeper. A multiplicity of factors, including lack of access to quality schools, poverty, social mores and customs, and language, have had a detrimental effect on rates of enrollment and retention among the scheduled caste. Bridging these gaps in access, participation, and learning outcomes of children belonging to scheduled caste will continue to be one of the major goals. Also, the other backward classes, which have been identified on the basis of historically being socially and educationally backward, also need special focus. Tribal communities and children from scheduled tribes also face disadvantages at multiple levels due to various historical and geographical factors. Children from tribal communities often find their school education irrelevant and foreign to their lives, both culturally and academically. While several programmatic interventions to uplift the children from tribal communities are currently in place and will continue to be pursued, special mechanisms need to be made to ensure that children belonging to tribal communities receive the benefits of these interventions. Minorities are also relatively underrepresented in school and higher education. The policy acknowledges the importance of interventions to promote education of children belonging to all minor communities, and particularly those communities that are educationally underrepresented. The policy also recognizes the importance of creating enabling mechanisms for providing children with special needs or Divyang the same opportunities of obtaining quality education as any other child. Separate strategies will be formulated for focused attention on reducing the social category gaps in school education as outlined in the following subsections. The critical problems and recommendations regarding ECCE, foundational literacy and numeracy, access, enrollment, and attendance discussed in Chapter 1 to 3 are particularly relevant and important for underrepresented and disadvantaged groups. Therefore, the measures from Chapter 1 to 3 will be targeted in a concerted way for SEDGs. In addition, there have been various successful policies and schemes, such as targeted scholarships, conditional cash transfers to incentivize parents to send their child to school, providing bicycles for transport, etc., that have been significantly increased participation of SEDGs in the schooling system in certain areas. These successful policies and schemes must be significantly strengthened across the country. It will be essential to take into account research that ascertains which measures are particularly effective for certain SEDGs. For example, providing bicycles and organizing cycling and walking groups to provide access to school have been shown to be particularly powerful methods in increasing participation of female students, even at lesser distance, because of the safety benefits and comfort to parents that they provide. One-on-one teachers and tutors, peer tutoring, open schooling, appropriate infrastructure, and suitable technological intervention to ensure access can be particularly effective for certain children with disabilities. School providing quality ECCE reap the greatest dividends for children who come from families that are economically disadvantaged. Meanwhile, counselors and or well-trained social workers that work with and connect with students, parents, schools, and teachers in order to improve attendance and learning outcomes have been found to be especially effective for children in urban poor areas. Data shows that certain geographical areas contain significantly larger portions of SEDGs. Also, there are geographical locations that have been identified as aspirational districts, which require special interventions for promoting their educational development. Hence, it is recommended that regions of the country with large population from educationally disadvantaged SEDGs should be declared special education zones where all the students and policies are implemented to the maximum through additional concerted efforts in order to truly change their educational landscape. It must be noted that women cut across all underrepresented groups, making up about half of all SEDGs. Unfortunately, The exclusion and inequity that SEDGs face is only amplified for the women in these SEDGs. The policy additionally recognizes the special and critical role that women play in society and shaping social mores. Therefore, providing a quality education to girls is the best way to increase the educational levels for these SEDGs, not just in the present, but also in the future generations. The policy that recommends that the policies and schemes designed to include students from SEDGs should be especially targeted towards girls in these SEDGs. In addition, the Government of India will constitute a gender inclusion fund to build the nation's capacity to provide equitable quality education for all girls as well as transgender students. The fund will be available to states to implement priorities determined by the central government critical for assisting female and transgender children in gaining access to education, such as provisions of sanitations on toilets, bicycles, conditional cash transfers, etc. Funds will also enable to state to support and scale effective community-based intervention that addresses local context-specific barrier to female and transgender children's access to and participation in education. Similar inclusion fund schemes shall also be developed to address analogous access issues for other SEDGs. In essence, this policy aims to eliminate any remaining disparity in access to education, including vocational education for children from any gender or other socio-economically disadvantaged group. Free boarding facilities will be built, matching the standard of Jawahar-Navodaya Vidyalayas in school locations where students may have to come from far, and particularly for students who from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds, with suitable arrangement for safety of all children, especially girls. Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas will be strengthened and expanded to increase the participation in quality schools up to grade 12 of girls from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Additional Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas and Kendriya Vidyalayas will be built around the country, especially in aspirational districts, special education zones, and other disadvantaged areas to increase high-quality educational opportunities. Preschool section covering at least 1 year of early childhood care and education will be added to Kendriya Vidyalayas and other primary schools around the nation, particularly in disadvantaged areas. Ensuring the inclusion and equal participation of children with disabilities in ECCE and the schooling system will also be accorded the highest priority. Children with disabilities will be enabled to fully participate in the regular schooling process from the foundational stage to higher education. The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 defines inclusive education as a system of education wherein students with and without disabilities learn together, and system of teaching and learning is suitably adapted to meet the learning needs of different types of students with disabilities. The policy is in complete consonance with the provisions of the RPWT Act 2016 and endorses all its recommendations with regard to school education. While preparing the national curriculum framework, NCERT will ensure that consultation are held with expert bodies such as National Institutes of DEPWD. To this end, school or school complexes will be provided resources for the integration of children with disabilities, recruitment of special educators with cross-disability training, and for the establishment of resources centers wherever needed, especially for children with severe or multiple disabilities. Barrier-free access for all children with disabilities will be enabled as per the RPWD Act. Different categories of children with disabilities having different needs. School and school complexes will work and be supported for providing all children with disabilities accommodations and support mechanism tailored to suit their needs and to ensure their full participation and inclusion in the classroom. In particular, assistive devices and appropriate technology-based tools, as well as adequate and language-appropriate teaching learning materials, example, textbooks in accessible formats such as large print and braille, will be made available to help children with disabilities integrate more easily into classrooms and engage with teachers and their peers. This will apply to all school activities, including arts, sports, and vocational education. NIOS will develop high-quality modules to teach Indian Sign Language and to teach other basic subjects using Indian Sign Language. Adequate attention will be paid to the safety and security of children with disabilities. Over to my friend.
As per the RPWD Act 2016, children with benchmark disabilities shall have the choice of regular or special schooling. Resource Center, in conjunction with special educators, will support their rehabilitation and educational needs of learners with severe or multiple disabilities and will assist parents or guardians in achieving high quality homeschooling and skilling for such students as needed. Home-based education will continue to be a choice available for children with severe and profound disabilities who are unable to go to schools. The children under home-based education must be treated as equal to any other child in the general system. There shall be an audit of home-based education for its efficiency and effectiveness using the principle of equity and equality of opportunity. Guidelines and standards for home-based schooling shall be developed based on his audit in line with the RPWD Act 2016. While it is clear that the education of all children with disabilities is the responsibility of the state, technology-based solution will be used for the orientation of parents or caregivers, along with wide-scale dissemination of learning materials to enable parents or caregivers to actively support their children's learning needs will be accorded priority. Most classrooms have children with specific learning disabilities who need continuous support. Research is clear that the earlier such support begins, the better the chances of progress. Teacher must be helped to identify such learning disabilities early and plan specifically for the mitigation. Specific action will include the use of appropriate technology, allowing and enabling children to work at their own pace with flexible curricula to leverage each child's strengths and creating an ecosystem. For appropriate assessment and certification, assessment and certification agencies, including the proposed new National Assessment Center, PARAC, will formulate guidelines and recommend appropriate tools for conducting such assessment from the foundational stage to higher education, including for entrance exams, in order to ensure equitable access and opportunities for all students with learning disabilities. The awareness and knowledge of how to teach children with specific disabilities, including learning disabilities, will be an integral part of all teacher education programs, along with gender sensitization and sensitization towards all underrepresented groups in order to reverse their underrepresentation. Alternative forms of schools will be encouraged to preserve their tradition or alternative pedagogical style. At the same time, they will be supported to integrate the subject and learning areas prescribed by the NCFSC into their curricula in order to reduce and eventually eliminate the underrepresentation of children from these schools in higher education. In particular, financial assistance will be provided to introduce science, mathematics, social, English, state languages, or other relevant subjects in the curriculum. As may be desired by this school, this would enable children studying in this school to attain the learning outcomes defined for grades 1 to 12. Furthermore, students in such school would be encouraged to appear for state or other board examination and assessment by the NTA and thereby enroll in higher education institutions. Capacities of teachers in the teaching of science, mathematics, language, and social studies will be developed, including orientation to new pedagogical practices. Libraries and laboratories will be strengthened and adequate. Reading materials like books, journals, etc., and other teaching learning materials will be made available within SEDGs and with respect to all the above policy points. social attention will be given to reduce the disparities in the educational development of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. As a part of the effort to enhance participation in school education, special hostel in dedicated regions, bridge courses, and financial assistance through fee waiver and scholarship will be offered to talented and meritorious students from all SEDGs on a larger scale, especially the secondary stage of education, to facilitate their entry into higher education.
Under the aegis of the Ministry of Defense, state government may encourage opening NCC wings in the secondary and higher secondary schools, including those located in tribal-dominated areas. This will enable harnessing of the natural talent and unique potential of students, which in turn would help them to aspire to a successful career in the defense force. All scholarships and other opportunities and schemes available to students from SEDGs will be coordinated and announced by a single agency and website to ensure that all students are aware of and may apply in a simplified manner on such a single window system as per eligibility. All the above policies and measures are absolutely critical to attaining full inclusion and equity for all SCDGs, but they are not sufficient. What is also required is a change in school culture. All participants in the school education system, including teachers, principals, administrator, counselor, and student, will be sensitized to the requirement of all students, the notions of the inclusion and equity, and the respect, dignity, and privacy of all persons. Such an educational culture will provide the best pathway to help students become empowered individuals who in turn will enable society to transform into one that is responsible toward its most vulnerable citizens. Inclusion and equity will become a key aspect of teacher education and training of all leadership, administrative, and other positions in schools. Efforts will be made to recruit more high quality teachers and leaders from SCDGs in order to bring in excellent role models for all students. Students will be sensitized through this new school culture brought in by teachers, trained school social workers, and counselors, as well as through corresponding changes to bring in an inclusive school curriculum. The school curriculum will include early on material on human values such as respect for all persons, empathy, tolerance, human rights, gender equality, non-violence, global citizenship, inclusion, and equity. It would also include more detailed knowledge of various cultures, religions, languages, gender identities, etc., to sensitize and develop respect for diversity. Any biases and stereotypes in school curriculum will be removed, and more material will be included that is relevant and relatable to all communities. Efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes clusters. While the establishment of primary schools in every habitation across the country driven by the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, now subsumed under the Samagra Shiksha scheme, and other important efforts across the states has helped to ensure near universal access to primary schools, it has also led to the development of numerous very small schools. According to UDISC 2016 to 17 data, nearly 28% of India's public primary schools and 14.8% of India's upper primary schools have less than 30 students. The average number of students per grade in the elementary schooling system, primary and upper primary, that is grade 1 to 8, is about 14, with a notable proportion having below 6. During the year 2016 to 17, there were 1,08,017 single teachers to school, the majority of them 85,743 being primary school serving grade 1 to 5. These small school sizes have rendered it economically suboptimal and operationally complex to run good schools in terms of deployment of teachers as well as the provision of critical physical resources. Teachers often teach multiple grades at a time and teach multiple subjects, including subjects in which they may have no prior background. Key areas such as music, arts, and sports are too often simply not taught, and physical resources such as lab and sports equipment and library books are simply not available across schools. The isolation of small schools also has a negative effect on education and the teaching learning process. Teacher function best in communities and teams, and so do students. Some schools also present a systemic challenge for governance and management. The geographical dispersion, challenging access conditions, and the very large number of schools make it difficult to reach all schools equally. Administrative structure have not been aligned with the increase in the number of schools or with the unified structure of the Samagra Shiksha scheme. Although consolidation of schools in an option that is often discussed, it must be carried out very judicially and only when it is ensured that there is no impact on access. Such measures are nevertheless likely to result only in limited consolidation and would not solve the overall structure problem and challenges presented by the large number of small schools. These challenges will by 2025 be addressed by state UT government by adopting innovative mechanism to group or rationalize schools. The objective behind this intervention would be ensure that every school has a adequate number of counselors, trained social workers and teachers, shared or otherwise, for teaching all subjects including art, music, science, sports, languages, vocational subjects, etc. B. Adequate resources shared or otherwise, such as libraries, science labs, computer labs, skill labs, playground, sports equipment and facilities, etc. C. A sense of community is built to overcome the isolation of teachers, students and school through joint professional development programs, sharing of teaching, learning content, joint content development, holding joint activities such as art and science exhibitions, sports meet, quizzes and debates and fairs. D. Cooperation and support across school for the education of children with disabilities. And E. Improved governance of the schooling system by devolving all final decision to principal, teachers and other stakeholders within each group of schools, and treating such group of schools, which range from the foundational stage through the secondary stage, as an integrated semi-autonomous unit. One possible mechanism for accomplishing the above would be the establishment of a grouping structure called the school complex, consisting of one secondary school together with all the school offering low grades in its neighborhood, including Anganwadis in a radius of 5 to 10 kilometers. This suggestion was first made by the Education Commission 1964 to 66, but was left unimplemented. This policy strongly endorses the idea of the school complexes cluster wherever possible. The aim of the school complex cluster will be greater resource efficiency and more effective functioning, coordination, leadership, governance and management of schools in the cluster. The establishment of school complexes cluster and the sharing of resources across complexes will have a number of other benefits as a consequence, such as improved support for children with disabilities, more topic-centered clubs and academic, sports, arts, craft, event across school complexes, better incorporation of art, music, language, vocational subject, physical education and other subject in the classroom through the sharing of teachers in this subject, including use of ICT tools to conduct virtual classes, better student support, enrollment, attendance and performance through the sharing of social workers and counselors, and school complex management committees rather than simply school management committees for more robust and improved governance, monitoring, oversight, innovation, and initiatives by local stakeholders. Building such larger communities of school leaders, teachers, students, supporting staff, parents, and local citizens would energize and empower the schooling system and in resource efficient manner. The governance of schools will also improve and become far more efficient with the school complexes clusters. First, the DSC will devolve authority to the school complex cluster, which will act as semi-autonomous unit. The district education officer DEO and the block education officer BEO will interact primarily with each school complex cluster, will be given significantly autonomy by the DSC to innovate towards providing integrated education and to experiment with pedagogies, curriculum, etc., while adhering to the National Circular Framework NCF and state curricular framework SCF. Under this organization, school will gain in strength, will be able to exercise greater freedom and will contribute towards making the complex more innovative and responsive. Meanwhile, the DSC will be able to focus on the aggregate level goals that need to be achieved, improving the overall system effectiveness. The culture of working to a plan, both short-term and long-term ones, will be developed through such complexes clusters. School will develop their plans SDPs with the involvement of their SMCs. These plans will then become the basis for the creation of school complex cluster development plans SCDPs. The SCDP will also involve the plans of other institutions associated with the school complex, such as vocational education institution, and will be created by the principals and teachers of the school complex with the involvement of the SCMCs and will be made available publicly. The plans will include human resources, learning resources, physical resources and infrastructure improvement initiatives, financial resources, school culture initiatives, teacher development plans and educational outcomes. It will detail the efforts to leverage the teachers and students across the school complex to develop vibrant learning communities. The SDP and SCDP will be the primary mechanism to align all stakeholders of the school, including the DSC. The SMC and SCMC will use the SDP and SCDP for oversight of the functioning and direction of the school and will assist in the execution of this plan. The DSC, through its relevant official, example the BEO, will endorse and confirm the SCDP of each school complex. It will then provide the resources, financial, human, physical, etc. necessary to achieve the SCDPs, both short-term 1 year and long-term 3 to 5 years. It will also provide all other relevant support to the school complexes to achieve the educational outcome. The DSC and the SCRT may share specific norms, example, financial staffing process and framework for the development of the SDP and SCDP with all schools, which may be revised periodically to further enhance cooperation and positive synergy among schools, including between public and private schools. The twinning pairing of one public school with one private school will be adopted across the country, so that such paired school may meet, interact with each other, learn from each other, and also share resources if possible. Best practices of private school will be documented, shared, and institutionalized in public schools, and vice versa where possible. Every state will be encouraged to strengthen existing or establish bal bhavans where children of all ages can visit once a week, example on weekend or more often as a special daytime boarding school to partake in art related, career related, and play related activities. Such bal bhavans may be incorporated as a part of school complexes clusters if possible. The school should be a point of celebration and honor for the whole community. The dignity of the school as an institution should be restored, and important days such as the foundation day of the school will be celebrated along with the community, and the list of important alumni may be displayed and honored. Furthermore, the unutilized capacity of school infrastructure could be used to promote social, intellectual, and volunteer activities for the community and to promote social cohesion during non-teaching schooling hours, and may be used as Samajik Chetna Kendra. Standard setting and accreditation for school education. The goal of the school education regulatory system must be to continually improve educational outcome. It must not overly restrict to schools, prevent innovation, or demoralize teacher, principals, and student. All in all, regulation must aim to empower schools and teachers with trust, enabling them to strive for excellence and perform at their very best.
The public education system is the foundation of a vibrant democratic society, and the way it is run must be transformed and integrated in order to achieve the highest level of education outcomes for the nation. At the same time, the private philanthropic school sector must also be encouraged and enabled to play a significant and beneficial role. The key principles and recommendations of this policy regarding the state school education system, the independent responsibility within the system, and the approach to its regulation are as follows. The Department of School Education, which is the apex state level body, school education will be responsible for overall monitoring and policy making for continual improvement of the public education system. It will not be involved with the provision and operation of schools or with the regulation of schools. In order to ensure due focus on the improvement of public school and to be eliminate conflict of interest, the educational operations and service provision for the public schooling system of the whole state will be handled by the Directorate of School Education, including the offices of the DEO and BO, etc. It will work independently to implement policies regarding educational operations and provision. An effective quality self-regulation or accreditation system will be instituted for all the stage of education, including preschool, education, private, public, and philanthropic, to ensure compliance with essential quality standards, to ensure that all schools follow certain minimal profession and quality standards. State UTS will set up an independent statewide body called the State School Standards Authority. The SSA will establish a minimal set of standards based on basic parameters, namely safety, security, basic infrastructure, number of teachers across subject and grades, financial probity, and sound process of governance, which shall be followed by the schools. The framework for these parameters will be created by the SCRT in consultation with various stakeholders, especially teachers and schools. Transparent public self-disclosure of all the basic regulatory information as laid down by the SSA will be used extensively for public oversight and accountability. The dimension on which information has to be self-disclosed, and the format of disclosure will be decided by the SSA in accordance with global best practices for standard setting for school. This information will have to be made available and kept updated and accurate by all the schools on the aforementioned public website maintained by the SSA and on the schools' websites. Any complaints or grievances from stakeholders or other arising out of the information placed in the public domain shall be adjudicated by the SSA. Feedback from randomly selected students will be solicited online to ensure valuable input at regular intervals. Technology will be employed suitably to ensure efficiency and transparency in all work of the SSA. This will bring down significantly the heavy load of regulatory mandates currently borne by school. Academic matters, including academic standards and curricula in the state, will be led by the SCERT with close consultation and collaboration with the NCERT, which will be reinvigorated as an institution. The SCERT will develop a school quality assessment and accreditation framework through wide consultations with all stakeholders. The SCERT will also lead a change management process for the reinvigorated of CRCS, BRCS, and diets, which must change the capacity and work culture of these institutions in 3 years, developing them into a vibrant institution of excellence. Meanwhile, certification of competencies of students at this school leaving stage will be handled by the boards of assessment examination in each state. The culture, structures, and system that empower and provide adequate resources to school institutions, teachers, officials, communities, and other stakeholders will also build concomitant accountability. Each stakeholders and participant of the education system will be accountable to perform their role with their highest level of integrity, full commitment, and exemplary work ethic. Each role of the system will have explicitly articulated role expectation and rigorous assessment of their performance. Vis-a-vis this expectation, the assessment system will be objective and developmentally oriented, will ensure accountability. It will have multiple sources of feedback and assessment to ensure a full view of the performance, and will not just be linked simplistically to mark of students. The assessment will recognize that outcomes such as educational attainment of students have multiple intervening variables and extraneous influences. It will also recognize that education requires teamwork, particularly at the level of the school. Promotion, recognition, and accountability of all individuals will be based on such performance assessment. All functionaries will be responsible to ensure that this development, performance, and accountability system is run with high integrity and systematically within their span of control. Public and private schools, except the schools that are managed, aided, controlled by the central government, will be assessed and accredited on the same criteria, benchmark, and processes emphasizing online and offline public disclosure and transparency, so as to ensure that public-spirited private schools are encouraged and not stifled in any way. Private philanthropic efforts for quality education will be encouraged, thereby affirming the public good nature of education while protecting parents and communities from arbitrary increases in tuition fees. Public disclosure on the school website and on the SSA website for both public and private schools would include, at the very least, information on the numbers of schools, numbers of classrooms, students, and teachers, subject taught, any fees, and overall student outcomes on standardized evaluations such as the NAS and SAS for school control managed Aided by the central government, the CBSE, in consultation with the MHRD, shall prepare a framework. All the education institutions will be held to similar standards of audit and disclosure as a not-for-profit entity. Surpluses, if any, will be reinvested in the educational sector. The standard setting regulatory framework and the facilitating systems for school regulation, accreditation, and governance shall be reviewed to enable improvement on the basis of the learning and experiences gained in the last decade. This review will aim to ensure that all students, particularly students from underprivileged and disadvantaged sections, shall have universal, free, and compulsory access to high quality and equitable schooling from early childhood and care and education age 3 onwards through higher secondary education until grade 12. The overemphasis on inputs and the mechanistic nature of the specifications, physical and infrastructural, will be changed and requirements made more responsive to realistic on the ground. Example, recording land areas and room sizes, practicalities of playgrounds in urban areas, etc. These mandates will be adjusted and loosened, leaving suitable flexibility for each school to make its own decision based on local needs and constraint, while ensuring safety, security, and a pleasant and productive learning space, educational outcomes, and the transparent disclosure of all financial, academic, and operational matters will be given due importance and will be incorporated suitably in the assessment of schools. This will further improve India's progress towards achieving Sustainable Development Goal 4, SDG4, of ensuring free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education for all children. The aim of the public school education system will be to impart the highest quality education so that it becomes the most attractive option for parents from all walks of life for educating their children. For a periodic health checkup of all overall system, a sample-based national achievement survey of student learning levels will be carried out by the proposed new National Assessment Center, PARAC, with suitable cooperation with other governmental bodies such as the NCRT that may assist in assessment procedures as well as data analysis. The assessment will cover students across government as well as private school. States will also be encouraged to conduct their own census-based and state assessment survey, the result of which will be used only for developmental purposes, public disclosure by schools of their overall and anonymized student outcomes, and for continuous improvement of the school education system. Until the establishment of the proposed new National Assessment Center, PARAC, NCRT may continue to carry out NAS. Finally, the children and adolescents enrolled in schools must not be forgotten in this whole process. After all, the school system is designed for them. Careful attention must be paid to their safety and rights, particularly girl children, and the various difficult issues faced by adolescents such as substance or drugs abuse and forms of discrimination and harassment, including violence, with clear, safe, and efficient mechanisms for reporting and for due process on any infraction against children's adolescents' right or safety. These development of such mechanisms that are effective, timely, and well known to all students will be according high priority. Higher education, quality universities and colleges, a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education system. Higher education plays an extremely important role in promoting human as well as societal well-being and in developing India as envisioned in its constitution, a democratic, just, socially conscious, cultured, and humane nature, uphold upholding liberty, equality, fraternity, and just for all. Higher education significantly contributes towards sustainable livelihood and economic development of the nation. As India moves towards becoming a knowledge economy and society, more and more young Indians are likely to aspire for higher education. Given the 21st century requirements, quality higher education must aim to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded, and creative individuals. It must enable an individual to study one or more specialized areas of interest at a deep level and also develop character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, spirit of service, and 21st century capabilities across a range of disciplines, including sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, languages, as well as professional, technical, and vocational subjects. A quality higher education must enable personal accomplishment and enlightenment, constructive public engagement, and productive contribution to the society. It must prepare students for more meaningful and satisfying lives and work roles and enable economic independence. For the purpose of developing holistic individuals, it is essential that an identified set of skills and values will be incorporated at each stage of learning, from preschool to higher school. At the societal level, higher education must enable the development of an enlightened, socially conscious, knowledgeable, and skilled nation that can find and implement robust solutions to its own problems. Higher education must form the basis for knowledge creation and innovation, thereby contribution to a growing national economy. The purpose of quality higher education is therefore more than the creation of greater opportunities for individual employment. It represents the key to more vibrant, socially engaged, cooperative communities and a happier, cohesive culture, productive, innovative, progressive, and prosperous nation. Some of the major problems currently faced by the higher education system in India include a severe fragmented higher educational ecosystem, less emphasis on the development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes, a rigid separation of disciplines with early specialization and streaming of students in the narrow areas of study, limited access, particularly in socio-economically disadvantageous areas with few HEIs that teach in local languages, limited teachers and institutional autonomy, inadequate mechanisms for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leaders, lesser emphasis on research at most universities and colleges, and lack of competitive peer reviews research funding across disciplines, suboptimal governance and leadership of HEIS, an effective regulatory system, and large affiliating universities resulting in low standard of undergraduate education.
This policy envisions a complete overhaul and re-energizing of the higher education system to overcome these challenges and thereby deliver high-quality higher education with equity and inclusion. The policy's vision includes the following key changes to the current system. Moving towards a higher educational system consisting of large, multidisciplinary universities and colleges with at least one in or near every district, and with more HEIS across India that offer medium of instruction or programs in local or Indian languages. Moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education, moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experiences, reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions through merit appointments and career progression based on teaching, research, and service, Establishment of a national research foundation to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed research in universities and colleges. Governance of HEIS by high qualified independent boards having academic and administrative autonomy. Light but tight regulation by a single regulator for higher education. Increased access, equity, and inclusion through a range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education, scholarship by private philanthropic university for disadvantaged and underprivileged students, online education and open distance learning ODL, and all infrastructure and learning material accessible and available to learners with disabilities. Institutional restructuring and consolidation. The main thrust of this policy regarding higher education is to end the fragmentation of higher education by transforming higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary universities, colleges, and HEI clusters, knowledge hubs, each of which will aim to have 3,000 or more students. This would help build vibrant communities of scholars and peers, break down harmful slurs, enable students to become well-rounded across disciplines, including artistic, creative, and analytic subjects, as well as sports. Develop active research communities across disciplines, including cross-disciplinary research, and increase resource efficiency, both material and human, across higher education. Moving to large multidisciplinary universities and HEI clusters is thus the highest recommendation of this policy regarding the structure of higher education. The ancient Indian universities Takshashila, Nalanda, Vallabhai, and Vikramashila, which had thousands of students from India and the world studying in vibrant multidisciplinary environments, amply demonstrated the type of great success that large multidisciplinary research and teaching university could bring. India urgently needs to bring back this great Indian tradition to create well-rounded and innovative individuals, and which is already transforming other countries educationally and economically. This vision of higher education will require in particular a new conceptual perception, understanding for what constitutes a higher education institution, HEI, a university or a college. A university will mean a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers undergraduate and graduate programs with high quality teaching, research, and community engagement. The definition of university will thus allow a spectrum of institutions that range from those that place equal emphasis on teaching and research. Research-intensive university, those that place greater emphasis on teaching, but still conduct significant research. Teaching-intensive universities. Meanwhile, an autonomous degree granting college will refer to a large multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that grants undergraduate degrees and is primarily focused on undergraduate teaching, though it would not be restricted to that, and it need not be restricted to that, and it would generally be smaller than a typical university. A stage-wise mechanism for granting graded autonomy to colleges through a transparent system of graded accreditation will be established. Colleges will be encouraged, mentored, supported, and incentivized to gradually attain the minimum benchmarks required for each level of accreditation. Over a period of time, it is envisaged that every college would develop into either an autonomous degree granting college or a constitute college of a university. In the latter case, it would be fully a part of the university. With appropriate accreditations, autonomous degree granting colleges could evolve into research-intensive or teaching-intensive university if they so aspire. It must be clearly stated that these three board types of institutions are not in any natural way a rigid, exclusionary categorization, but are along a continuum. HEIS will have the autonomy and freedom to move gradually from one category to another based on their plans, actions, and effectiveness. The most silent marker for these categories of institution will be the focus of their goals and work. The accreditation system will develop and use appropriately different and relevant norms across this range of HEIS. However, the expectation of high quality of education and of teaching learning across all HEIS will be the same. In addition to teaching and research, HEIS will have other crucial responsibilities which they will discharge through appropriate resourcing, incentives, and structures. These include supporting other HEIS in their development, community engagement and service, contribution to various fields of practice, faculty development for the higher education system, and support to school education. By 2040, all higher education institutions HEIS shall aim to become multidisciplinary institutions and shall aim to have larger student enrollments, preferably in the thousands for optimal use of infrastructure and resources, and for the creation of vibrant multidisciplinary communities. Since this process will take time, all HEIS will firstly plan to become multidisciplinary by 2030 and then gradually increase student strength to the desired levels. More HEIS shall be established and developed in underserved regions to ensure full access, equity, and inclusion. There shall by 2030 be at least one large multidisciplinary HEI in or near every district. Steps shall be taken towards developing high quality higher education institutions, both public and private, that have medium of instruction in local or Indian languages or bilingually. The aim will be to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from 26.3% 2018 to 50% by 2035. While a number of new institutions may be developed to attain these goals, a large part of the capacity creation will be achieved by consolidating, substantially expanding, and also improving existing HEIS. Growth will be in both public and private institutions, with a strong emphasis on developing a large number of outstanding public institutions. There will be a fair and transparent system for determining increased levels of public funding support for public HEIS. This system will give an equitable opportunity for all public institutions to grow and develop, and will be based on transparent, pre-announced criteria from within the accreditation norms of the accreditation system. HEIS delivering education of the highest quality as laid down in this policy will be incentivized in expanding their capacity. Institutions will have the option to run open distance learning (ODL) and online programs, provided they are accredited to do so. In order to enhance their offerings, improve access, increase GER, and provide opportunities for lifelong learning (SDG 4). All ODL programs and their components leading to any diploma or degree will be of standards and quality equivalent to the highest quality programs run by the HEIS on their campuses. Top institutions accredited for ODL will be encouraged and supported to develop high quality online sources. Such quality online sources will be suitably integrated into curricula of HEIS, and blended mode will be preferred. Single stream HEIS will be phased out over time, and all will move towards becoming vibrant multidisciplinary institutions or parts of vibrant multidisciplinary HEI clusters, in order to enable and encourage high quality multidisciplinary and cross-disciplinary teaching and research across fields. Single stream HEIS will in particular add departments across different fields that would strengthen the single stream that they currently serve. Through the attainment of suitable accreditations, all HEIS will gradually move towards fully autonomy, academic and administrative. In order to enable this vibrant culture, the autonomy of public institutions will be backed by adequate public financial support and stability. Private institutions with a public spirited commitment to high quality equitable education will be encouraged. The new regulatory system envisaged by this policy will foster this overall culture of empowerment and autonomy to innovate, including by gradual phasing out the system of affiliated colleges over a period of 15 years through a system of graded autonomy, and to be carried out in a challenge mode. Each existing affiliating university will be responsible for mentoring its affiliated colleges so that they can develop their capabilities and achieve minimum benchmarks in academic and curricular matters. Teaching and assessment, governance reforms, financial robustness, and administrative efficiency. All colleges currently affiliated to a university shall attain the required benchmarks over time to secure the prescribed accreditation benchmarks and eventually become autonomous degree granting colleges. This will be achieved through a concreted national effort, including suitable mentoring and governmental support for the same. The overall higher education sector will aim to be an integrated higher education system, including professional and vocational education. This policy and its approach will be equally applicable to all HEIS across all current streams, which would eventually merge into one coherent ecosystems of higher education. University worldwide means a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers undergraduate, graduate, and PhD programs and engages in high quality teaching and research. The present complex nomenclature of HEIS in the country, such as deemed to be university, affiliating technical university, unitary university, shall be replaced simply by university on fulfilling the criteria as per norms. Towards a more holistic and multidisciplinary education, India has a long tradition of holistic and multidisciplinary learning from universities such as Takshashila and Nalanda to the extensive literatures of India combining subjects across fields. Ancient Indian literacy works such as Banabhatta's Kadambari describe a good education as knowledge of the 64 kalas are arts. And among these 64 arts were not only subjects such as singing and painting, but also scientific fields such as chemistry and mathematics, vocational fields such as carpentry and clothes making, professional fields such as medicines and engineering, as well as soft skills such as communication, discussion, and debate. The very idea that all branches of creative human endeavor, including mathematics, science, vocational subjects, professional subjects, and soft skills, should be considered. Arts has distantly Indian origins. This notion of a knowledge of many arts are what in modern times is often called the liberal arts. A liberal notion of the arts must be brought back to Indian education, as it is exactly the kind of education that will be required for the 21st century. Assessments of educational approaches in undergraduate education that integrate the humanities and arts with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, have consistently showed positive learning outcomes, including increased creativity and innovation, critical thinking, and higher order thinking capacities, problem-solving abilities, teamwork, communication skills, more in-depth learning mastery of curricula across fields, increases in social and moral awareness, etc. Besides general engagement and enjoyment of learning, research is also improved and enhanced through a holistic and multidisciplinary education approach. A holistic and multidisciplinary education would aim to develop all capacities of human beings, intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner. Such an education will help develop well-rounded individuals that possess critical 21st century capacities in fields across the arts, humanities, languages, sciences, social sciences, and professional, technical, and vocational fields. An ethic of social engagement, soft skills such as communication, discussion, and debate, and rigorous specialization in a chosen field are fields. Such a holistic education shall be in the long term. The approach of all undergraduate programs, including those in professional, technical, and vocational disciplines.
A holistic and multidisciplinary education, as described so beautifully in India's past, is indeed what is needed for the education of India to lead the country into the 21st century and the fourth industrial revolution. Even engineering institutions such as IITs will move towards more holistic and multidisciplinary education with more arts and humanities. Students of arts and humanities will aim to learn more science, and all will make an effort to incorporate more vocational subjects and soft skill. Imaginative and flexible curricular structures will enable creative combinations of disciplines for study and would offer multiple entry and exit points, thus removing currently prevalent rigid boundaries and creating new possibilities for lifelong learning, graduate level, master's and doctoral education in large multidisciplinary universities, while providing rigorous research-based specialization, would also provide opportunities for multidisciplinary work, including in academic, government, and industry. Large multidisciplinary universities and colleges will facilitate the move towards high-quality, holistic, and multidisciplinary education. Flexibility in curriculum and novel and engaging course options will be on offer to students. In addition to rigorous specialization in a subject or subjects, this will be encouraged by increasing faculty and institutional autonomy in setting curricula. Pedagogy will have an increased emphasis on communication, discussion, debate, research, and opportunities for crossing disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking. Department in languages, literature, music, philosophy, Indology, art, dance, theatre, education, mathematics, statistics, pure and applied sciences, sociology, economics, sports, translation, and interpretation, and other subjects needed for a multidisciplinary, stimulating Indian education and environment will be established and strengthened at all HEIS. Credits will be given in all bachelor's degree program for these subjects if they are done from the such departments or through ODL mode, when they are not offered in the class at the HEI. Towards the attainment of such a holistic and multidisciplinary education, the flexible and innovative curricula of all HEI shall include credit-based courses and projects in the areas of community, engagement and service. Environmental education and value-based education. Environment education will include areas such as climate change, pollution, waste management, sanitation, conservation of biological diversity, management of biological resources and biodiversity, forest and wildlife conservation, and sustainable development and living. Value-based education will include the development of humanities, ethical, constitutional, and universal human values of truth, satya, righteous, conduct, dharma, peace, shanti, love, prem, non-violence, ahimsa, scientific temper, citizenship values, and also life skill, lessons in seva, services, and participation in community service program will be considered an integral part of a holistic education. As the world is becoming increasingly interconnected, Global Citizenship Education, GCED, a response to contemporary global changes, will be provided to empower learners to become aware of and understand global issues and to become active promoters of more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, secure, and sustainable societies. Finally, as part of a holistic education, students at all HEIS will be provided with opportunities for internships with the local industries, business, artist, craft person, etc., as well as research internships with faculty and researchers at their own or other HEIS research institutions so that students may actively engage with the practical side of their learning and as a byproduct further improve their employability. The structure and the length of degree programs shall be adjusted accordingly. The undergraduate degree will be of either 3 or 4 year duration with multiple exit options within this period with appropriate certification. Example, a certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline or field including vocational and professional areas, or a diploma after 2 years of study, or a bachelor's degree after a 3-year program. The 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor program, however, shall be preferred option since it allows the opportunity to experience the full range of holistic and multidisciplinary education, in addition to a focus on the chosen major and minors as per the choices of the student. An academic bank of credit, ABC, shall be established which would digitally store the academic credits earned from the various recognized HEIS so that the degree from an HEI can be awarded taking into account credit earned. The 4-year program may also lead to a degree with research if the student completes a rigorous research project in the major areas of study as specified by the HEI. HEIS will have the flexibility to offer different design of master's program. There may be a 2-year program with the second year devoted entirely to research for those who have completed the 3rd-year bachelor's program. B, for the students completing a 4-year bachelor's program with research, and they could be a 1-year master's program. And C, there may be an integrated 5-year master's program. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master degree or a 4-year bachelor degree with research. The MPhil program shall be discontinued. Model public universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IITs, IIMs, etc., called MERUS, multidisciplinary education and research universities, will be set up and will aim to attain the highest global standards in quality education. They will also help set the highest standard for multidisciplinary education across India. HEIS will focus on the research and innovation by setting up startup incubation centers, technology development centers, centers in frontier areas of research, greater industrial academic linkages, and interdisciplinary research, including humanities and social sciences research. Given the scenario of epidemics and pandemics, it is critical that HEIS take the lead to undertaken research in the areas of infectious diseases, epidemiology, virology, diagnostic, instrumentation, vaccinology, and other relevant areas. HEIS will develop specific holding mechanism and competitions for promoting innovations among student communities. The NRF will function to help enable and support such a vibrant research and innovation culture across HEIS, research, labs, and other research organizations. Optimal learning environments and support for students. Effective learning requires a comprehensive approach that involves appropriate curriculum, engaging pedagogy, continuous formative assessment, and adequate student support. The curriculum must be interesting and relevant and updated regularly to align with the latest knowledge requirements and to meet specified learning outcomes. High quality pedagogy is then necessary to successfully impart the curriculum materials to students. Pedagogical practice determines the learning experience that are provided to students, thus directly influencing learning outcomes. The assessment method must be scientific designed to continuously improve learning and test the application of knowledge. Last but not least, the development of capacities that promote student wellness, such as fitness, good health, psychosocial well-being, and sound ethical grounding are also critical for the high quality learning. Thus, curriculum, pedagogy, continuous assessment, and student support are the cornerstones for quality learning, along with providing suitable resources and infrastructures such as quality libraries, classrooms, labs, technology, sports recreation areas, students discussion spaces, and dining areas. A number of initiatives will be required to ensure that learning environments and engaging and all students to succeed. Creativity, institutions, and faculty will have the autonomy to innovate on matters of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment within a broad framework of higher education qualification that ensures consistency across institutions and program and across the ODL online and traditional in-classes mode. Accordingly, curriculum and pedagogy will be designed by the institutional and motivated faculty to ensure a stimulating and engaging learning experience for all students. And continuous formative assessment will be used to further the goals of each program. All assessment systems shall also be decided by the HEI, including those that lead to a final certification. The choice-based credit system, CBCS, will be revised for instilling innovation and flexibility. HEIS shall move to a criteria-based grading system and assess student achievement based on the learning goals for each program. Making the system fair and outcomes more comparable, HEIS shall also move away from high-stake examination towards more continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Second, each institution will integrate in academic plans for ranging from curriculum improvement to quality of classroom transaction into its larger institutional development plan, IDP. Each institution will be committed to the holistic development of students and create a strong international system for supporting diverse students, cohorts in academic and social domains, both inside and outside formal academic interactions in the classroom. For example, all HEIS will have mechanism and opportunities for funding of topic center clubs and activities organized by students with the help of faculty and other experts as needed, such as clubs and events dedicated to science, mathematics, poetry, language, literature, debate, music, sports, etc. Over time, such activities could be incorporated into the curriculum once opportunity, faculty, expertise, and campus students demand and develop. Faculty will have the capacity and training to be able to approach students not just as teachers, but also as mentors and guides. Third, students from social economical disadvantages background require encouragement and support to make a successful transition to higher education. Universities and colleges will thus be required to set up high quality support centers and will be given adequate funds and academic resources to carry this out effectively. There will also be a professional, academic, and career counseling available to all students, as well as counselors, and to ensure physical, psychology, and emotional well-being. Fourth, ODL and online education provide a natural path to increase access to quality higher education. In order to leverage its potential completely, ODL will be renewed through concept. Third, evidence-based efforts towards expansion while ensuring adherence to clear articulated standards of quality. ODL program will aim to be equivalent to the highest quality in class programs available. Norms, standard, and guidelines for systematic development, regulation, and accreditation of ODL will be prepared, and a framework for quality of ODL that will recommendatory for all HEIS will be developed. Finally, all programs, courses, curricula, and pedagogy across subjects, including those in class, online, and in ODL modes, as well as student support, will aim to achieve global standards of quality. Internationalization. The various initiatives mentioned above will also help in having larger number of international students studying in India and provide greater mobility to students in India who may wish to visit, study at, transfer credits to, or carry out research at institutions abroad, and vice versa. Courses and programs in subjects such as Indology, Indian languages, Ayush system of medicine, yoga, arts, music, history, culture, and modern India. Internationally relevant curricula in the sciences and social sciences and beyond, meaningful opportunities for social engagement, quality residential facilities, and on campus support, etc., will be fostered. Attain this goal of global quality standards, attract greater number of international students, and achieve the goal of internationalization at home. India will be promoted as a global study destination, providing premium education at affordable cost, thereby helping to restore its role as a Vishwaguru. An international student office at each HEI hosting foreign students will be set up to coordinate all matters relating to welcoming and supporting students arriving from abroad. Research, teaching, collaboration, and faculty students exchanges with high quality foreign institutions will be facilitated and relevant, mutually beneficial. MOUs with foreign countries will be signed. High performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campuses in other countries, and similarly selected universities. Example, those from among the top 100 universities in the world will be facilitated to operate in India. A legislative framework facilitating such entry will be put in place, and such universities will be given special dispensation regarding regularity, governance, and content norms and par with other autonomous institutions of India. Furthermore, research, collaboration, and student exchange between India institutions and global institutions will be promoted through special effects. Credits acquired in foreign universities will be permitted where appropriate as per the requirements of each HEI to be counted for the award of a degree.
Student activity and participation. Students are the prime stakeholders in the education system. Vibrant campus life is essential for high quality teaching learning processes. Towards this end, students will be given plenty of opportunities for participation in sports, culture, art clubs, eco clubs, activity clubs, community service projects, etc. In every education institution, there will be counseling systems for handling stress and emotional adjustments. Furthermore, a systemized arrangement shall be created to provide the requisite support to students from rural backgrounds, including increasing hostel facilities as needed. All HEIs will ensure quality medical facilities for all the students in their institution. Financial support for students. Financial assistance to students shall be made available through various measures. Efforts will be made to incentivize the merits of students belonging to SC, ST, OBC, and other SEDGS. The National Scholarship Portal will be expanded to support, foster, and track the progress of students receiving scholarships. Private HEIs will be encouraged to offer larger number of freeships and scholarships to their students. Motivated, energized, and capable faculty. The most important factor in the success of higher education institutions is the quality and engagement of its faculty. Acknowledging the criticality of faculty in achieving the goals of higher education, various initiatives have been introduced in the past several years to systemize recruitment and career progression, and to ensure equitable representation from various groups in the hiring of faculty. Compensation levels of permanent faculty in public institutions have also been increased substantially. Various initiatives have also been taken towards providing faculty with professional development opportunities. However, despite these various improvements in the status of the academic profession, faculty motivation in terms of teaching, research, and service in HEIs of the academic profession remains far lower than the desired level. The various factors that lie behind low faculty motivation levels must be addressed to ensure that each faculty member is happy, enthusiastic, engaged, and motivated towards advancing her students, institution, and profession. To this end, the policy recommends the following initiatives to achieve the best, motivated, and capable faculty in HEIs. As the most basic step, all HEIs will be equipped with the basic infrastructure and facilities, including clean drinking water, clean working toilets, blackboards, offices, teaching supplies, libraries, labs, and pleasant classroom spaces and campuses. Every classroom shall have access to the latest technology that enables better learning experiences. Teaching duties also will not be excessive and the student-teacher ratios not too high so that the activity of teaching remains pleasant and there is adequate time for interaction with students conducting research and other university activities. Faculty will be appointed to individual institutions and generally not be transferable across institutions so that they may feel truly invested in, connected to, and committed to their institution and community. Faculty will be given the freedom to design their own curricular and pedagogical approaches within the approved framework, including textbook and reading material selections, assignments, and assessments. Empowering the faculty to conduct innovative teaching, research, and service as they see best will be a key motivator and enabler for them to do truly outstanding creative work. Excellence will be further incentivized through appropriate rewards, promotions, recognitions, and movement into institutional leadership. Meanwhile, faculty not delivering on basic norms will be held accountable. In keeping with the vision of autonomous institutions empowered to drive excellence, HEIs will have clearly defined independent and transparent processes and criteria for faculty recruitment. Whereas the current recruitment process will be continued, a tenure track, that is, suitable probation period shall be put in place to further ensure excellence. There shall be a fast track promotion system for recognizing high impact research and contribution. A system of multiple parameters for proper performance assessment for the purposes of tenure, that is confirmed employment after probation, promotion, salary increases, recognitions, etc., including peer and student reviews, innovations in teaching and pedagogy, quality and impact of research, professional development activities, and other forms of service to the institution and the community shall be developed by each HEI and clearly enunciated in its education institutional development plan IDP. The presence of outstanding and enthusiastic institutional leaders that cultivate excellence and innovation is the need of the hour. Outstanding and effective institutional leadership is extremely important for the success of an institution of its faculty. Excellent faculty with high academic and service credentials, as well as demonstrated leadership and management skills, will be identified yearly and trained through a ladder of leadership positions. Leadership positions shall not remain vacant, but rather an overlapping time period during transitions in leadership shall be the norm to ensure the smooth running of institutions. Institutional leaders will aim to create a culture of excellence that will motivate and incentivize outstanding and innovative teaching, research, institutional service, and community outreach from faculty members and all HEI leaders. Equity and inclusion in higher education. Entry into quality higher education can open a vast array of possibilities that can lift both individuals as well as communities out of the cycles of disadvantage. For this reason, making quality higher education opportunities available to all individuals must be among the highest priorities. This policy envisions ensuring equitable access to quality education to all students with a special emphasis on SEDGS. The dynamics and also many of the reasons for exclusion of SDGs from the education system are common across school and higher education sectors. Therefore, the approach to equity and inclusion must be common across school and higher education. Furthermore, there must be continuity across the stages to ensure sustainable reform. Thus, the policy initiatives required to meet the goals of equity and inclusion in higher education must be read in conjunction with those for school education. There are certain facets of exclusion that are particular to or substantially more intense in higher education. There must be addressed These must be addressed specifically and include lack of knowledge of higher education opportunities, economic opportunity, cost of pursuing higher education, financial constraints, admission processes, geographical and language barriers, poor employability potential of many higher education programs, and a lack of appropriate student support mechanisms. For this purpose, additional actions that are specific to higher education shall be adopted by all government and HES. Steps to be taken by governments. Earmark suitable government funds for the education of SEDGS. Set clear targets for higher GR for SEDGS. Enhance gender balance in admission to HEIs. Enhance access by establishing more high-quality HEIs in aspirational districts and special education zones containing larger number of ACDGs. Develop and support high-quality HEIs that teach in local Indian languages or bilingually. Provide more financial assistance and scholarships to SDGs in both public and private HEIs. Conduct outreach programs on higher education opportunities and scholarships among SEDGs. Develop and support technology tools for better participation and learning outcomes. Steps to be taken by all HEIS. Mitigate opportunity costs and fees for pursuing higher education. Provide more financial assistance and scholarships to socio-economically disadvantaged students. Conduct outreach on higher education opportunities and scholarships. Make admission processes more inclusive. Make curriculum more inclusive. Increase employability potential of higher education programs. Develop more degree courses taught in Indian languages and bilingually. Ensure all buildings and facilities are wheelchair accessible and disabled friendly. Develop bridge courses for students that come from disadvantaged educational backgrounds. Provide socio-emotional and academic support and mentoring for all such students through suitable counseling and mentoring programs. Ensure sensitization of faculty, counselor, and students on gender identity issue and its inclusion in all aspects of HEI, including curricula. Strictly enforce all no discrimination and anti-harassment rules. Develop institutional development plans that contain specific plans for action on increasing participation from SEDGs, including but not limited to the above items. Teacher education. Teacher education is vital in creating a pool of school teachers that will shape the next generation. Teacher preparation is an activity that requires multidisciplinary perspectives and a knowledge, formation of dispositions and values, and development of practice under the best mentors. Teachers must be grounded in Indian values, languages, knowledge, ethos, and traditions, including tribal traditions, while also being well versed in the latest advances in education and pedagogy. According to the Justice J.S. Verma Commission 2012, constituted by Supreme Court, a majority of standalone TEIs, over 10,000 in number, are not even attempting serious teacher education but are essentially selling degrees for a price. Regulatory efforts so far have neither been able to curb the malpractices in the system nor enforce basic standards of quality, and in fact have had the negative effect of curbing the growth of excellence and innovation in the sector. The sector and its regulatory system are therefore in urgent need of revitalization through radical action in order to raise standards and restore integrity, credibility, efficacy, and high quality to the teacher education system. In order to improve and reach the levels of integrity and credibility required to restore the prestige of the teaching profession, the regulatory system shall be empowered to take stringent action against substandard and dysfunctional teacher education institutions (TEIs) that do not meet basic educational criteria after giving 1 year for remedy of the breaches. By 2030, only educationally sound, multidisciplinary, and integrated teacher education programs shall be in force. As teacher education requires multidisciplinary inputs and education in high quality content as well as pedagogy, all teacher education programs must be conducted within composite multidisciplinary institutions. To this end, all multidisciplinary universities and colleges will aim to establish education departments which, besides carrying out cutting edge research in various aspects of education, will also run B.Ed programs in collaboration with other departments such as psychology, philosophy, sociology, neuroscience, Indian languages, arts, music, history, literature, physical education, science, and mathematics. Moreover, all standalone TEIs will be required to convert to multidisciplinary institutions by 2030, since they will have to offer the 4-year integrated teacher preparation program. The 4-year integrated B.Ed offered by such multidisciplinary HEIs will, by 2030, become the minimal degree qualification for school teachers. The 4-year integrated B.Ed will be a dual major holistic bachelor's degree in education as well as specialized subjects such as a language, history, music, mathematics, computer science, chemistry, economics, art, physical education, etc. Beyond the teaching of cutting edge pedagogy, the teacher education will include grounding in sociology, history, science, psychology, early childhood care and education, foundational literacy and numeracy, knowledge of India and its values, ethos, art, traditions, and more. The HEI offering the 4-year integrated B.Ed may also run a 2-year B.Ed for students who have already received a bachelor's degree in a specialized subject. A 1-year B.Ed may also be offered for candidates who have received a 4-year undergraduate degree in a specialized subject. Scholarships for meritorious students will be established for the purpose of attracting outstanding candidates to the 4-year, 2-year, and 1-year B.Ed programs.
HEI is offering teaching education programs will be ensured the availability of range of expert in the education
Much,
and
ma'am. Now
related.
we are going to take a break. So I think you must have received the message that we are going to take a break now, and we will be back at 4:30. So we have already read 42 pages by 14 teachers. Now 20 pages and 7 teachers are left. We are going to resume the session at 4:30. And before that, let me just announce to my viewers and to my friends that at 3 o'clock, we are going to have a special program on the life of Maulana Azad. And we are going to have the speeches by the children who have learned the speech of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, although we all know that he was a great muqarrir, he was a great khatib, he was a great sahafi, he was a great poet. So his language is quite a literary language. It's difficult for the children to learn, but still they have tried their level best to learn his speeches, and they are going to reproduce today at 3 o'clock. So I request you all to kindly be with us on JAHAN-E, and this session of Readathon is going to be resumed at 4:30. And we expect that we are going to finish our reading of 62 pages of National Education Policy 2020 by 7 o'clock, and 7:30 is valedictory function. We expect a professor from NCERT to grace the occasion and to motivate my teachers. So my teachers deserve a big round of applause, and they deserve lots of appreciation and motivation, because it's not an easy task to read such a huge document, and that too for 8 hours. I must congratulate all those who have already finished their reading part, and I must wish all the best to all those who are going to read after the break. So please take a break, take care of yourself, and then see you at 3 o'clock, and then after that at 4:30. Thank you very much.